So Elon Musk just put up a Twitter poll. Reinstate former President Trump? Of course, I clicked yes. And right now there's over 550,000 votes about. 63% say yes. That's cool. Elon Musk also reinstated the Babylon Bee, Jordan Peterson, and Kathy Griffin. But he has outright refused to reinstate Alex Jones, even going so far as to respond to Viva Frei saying, too bad. And that's actually fairly brutal because I can understand, Alex Jones has issued a response already saying, don't blame Elon. He's the most controversial guy in the world. No. I get that. And I would agree. But I don't understand why Elon is taking it upon himself to kind of rub in that he doesn't actually believe in free speech. And he's kind of just, spitting on us in that regard. But look, I'll take a win, right? Unbanning these people, if he brings back Trump, these are all really, really good things. But let's not pretend like the guy actually cares about free speech. Now, to be fair, I get it. He probably can't reinstate Alex Jones without, it would be like dropping a bomb on the platform. But again, I'll stress it. He could have just ignored the question, or he could have said something like, we have to have a review process. He could have been honest and said something like, Alex Jones is very controversial. So we're going to have a deep look at that. And it may not be possible or something like that. But instead, it's just too bad. Okay, well then too bad. Why should I advocate for anyone spending money on Twitter if we are not going to actually have free speech? Viva Frei actually pointed out, if Elon does not reinstate him, then do not expect anything different than what we saw with Vijaya Gadde and Parag Agrawal. And he says, too bad. All right, let's talk about it. Now the Democrats want an FTC investigation, so the whole thing is just, it's insane. I gotta say, I don't understand why Twitter has garnered this much attention, except for the fact that it's probably used by intelligence agencies to manipulate the American public. So we're going to get into all that. But before we do, my friends, head over to establishedtitles.com and you can become a Scottish laird, or lord if you're speaking colloquial American English. Basically, you can buy a small plot of land in Scotland. And then if you're a landowner there, you're a lord. They say it's a project based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to lords and ladies. Their title packs give you at least 1 square foot of dedicated land with a unique plot number on a private estate in Edelston, Scotland, and an official certificate with a crest. To add to that, they're also a fun and novel way to preserve the natural woodlands of Scotland while helping global reforestation efforts. They do this by planting a tree with every order and work with global charities like One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future. The first 200 people purchasing the title pack using my link will effectively be next to my plot. That's establishedtitles.com /Timcast IRL. Within a few minutes walking distance, it will be. It makes for an amazing last minute gift, and you can use the promo code Timcast IRL or go to establishedtitles.com /Timcast IRL. And last night, because we're a silly bunch, we were joking about people ordering this using the name Ligma Johnson. And that would be a great gift as well. But then we kind of realized it'd be hilarious if 50,000 people bought a square foot of land in Scotland. You'd have 50,000 square feet of land owned by Lord Ligma Johnson. So consider that, I guess. I wonder if they're going to get mad at me for saying that in the promo spot. But whatever. I mean, it'll be funny. I kind of want to buy a Ligma Johnson plot of land and get a Lord Ligma Johnson. So thanks, Established Titles, for sponsoring the show. Everyone was really excited. I think someone super chatted saying they were going to do that, and then we started talking about it. So establishedtitles.com /Timcast IRL. But don't forget, head over to timcast.com, become a member to help support our work directly. We're working on a bunch of cultural endeavors. We may be working on a movie. It seems like we will be working on a movie production. And we don't want everything to be overtly political, but we're growing as fast as we can. I know I've said before that we want to be similar to the Daily Wire in that regard. We want to produce cultural shows, music, and things like that. But we are a fraction of the size of the Daily Wire. So all we can do is just work slowly and make our way up. Before we get started, smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share this show with your friends. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more is Aydin Paladin.
Hey, great to be here.
Who are you?
Hi, I'm Aydin Paladin. I mostly discuss social science and the intersection of social science and politics here on YouTube. I was a PhD student, but I decided I liked doing this better.
Yeah, it's
Thanks
fun,
for having me.
And I hit you up because you were posting about. I mean, this is going to sound cliche and tribal, but a series of studies showing that many on the left are driven by envy, hatred, violence, greed, etc.
Yeah, I was actually really shocked because you hear that kind of rhetoric all the time on the right and from the left towards the right, that, the other side, of course, dichotomistic partisanship. The other people, they must just be evil. But what I found when I looked into the data was more or less that what is evil, I guess you can be defined by whoever is defining evil. But the greed and the anger and the hatred and more than anything, the envy. It's just, they're so consistently envious. Did even shock me. Having done this
I kind of feel like
for years.
everybody listening is like, yep.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, pretty much all of social science is no duh. And it is all no duh, but you need to go find the data and actually be able to illustrate it with science.
We'll talk about it, especially as it pertains to censorship. We also have Hannah Claire Brimelow.
Hi, I'm Hannah Claire Brimelow. I'm a writer for Timcast.com.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, all right. And Luke's here.
I want to thank everyone in the comment section for the Luquisha comments. They mean a lot to me. I appreciate them very much. And even though Elon Musk could censor your speech, he cannot censor shirts on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. That's why I created the website. Today I'm wearing a shirt about the crazy immune system deniers out there who are very dangerous to your health. And if you want to warn everyone in the general public, you could get the shirt on, again, thebestpoliticalshirts.com or bidenfetterman.com, whichever one you choose.
And I'm Serge.com as always, guys.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here's the big story. Elon Musk tweeted, reinstate former President Trump, yes, no. Well, as you can see, I voted yes, of course. And there's just about 800,000 votes in, what are we looking at, like 20 minutes? Just shy of 20 minutes? 62% say yes, 38% say no. And I find it kind of silly. Like, why is a former president, whether he's allowed to speak in the public town square, being brought up to just like a poll from the CEO is kind of a weird thing.
It seems very strange, especially given that this is supposed to be how Twitter operates going forward. Like, do we get to vote on everyone from now on? I would probably use Twitter if this was the democratic process.
Well, unfortunately, then you can have very likely to invoke mob rule kind of stuff, mob rule consensus of people can then just get together. And it's just the way that anything works in terms of banning people from other sites. You get a group of people together, you incite them into saying, oh, we need to mass report, demand that Twitter remove this person, or vice versa, demand that they reinstate somebody. So democratizing Twitter can be potentially harmful in its own way.
Who the hell would have thought that the former president of the United States, who's running to be the next president of the United States, is having his future of his speech being determined by a frickin' Twitter poll? That absolutely makes no sense at all. It's absolutely ridiculous. And it really shows you how Elon Musk is really failing here. He's not doing a good job. He should make a strong decision. He should make a decision that is based on principles, not on mob rule. And that's essentially what he's depending on here, which is ridiculous.
I think Elon is this strange character because we, especially conservatives, want to rally around him. He says interesting things that we feel like are right. But also, he doesn't operate 100% by conservative values, and he doesn't hide it, right? Like, Tesla is, from what I understand, the only car company that operates without a state-owned partner in China. Why is that? Why is he permitted that right? It's just one of these things.
You mean like he operates in China and he's not being controlled by the state, or what do you mean?
So
it sounded like you're saying all car companies in the U.S. work with China.
So all car companies, if you want to manufacture in China, again, I'm not an expert, but this is what I've been reading about it. They have a partner to help them with their distribution and manufacturing in China. Tesla is the only car company that operates without this kind of partnership. The car companies in China are owned by the Chinese government. Why is Tesla allowed to do this? I think Elon Musk is a really interesting character, but I am not surprised that he's not always consistent, right? We like free speech, but also we have a poll for the president. Like, that seems strange.
Yeah, I think he saw that he could make money from this. I think that's really it. I think he likes the Babylon Bee. I think he saw an opportunity to make money because it seems clear when you're active on Twitter that the majority of people want jokes, want to have fun, but you can't. And what was happening is slowly over time, Twitter was being compressed into a really boring and awful space. And it was resulting in, here's what I think. Elon's like, why are there so many competitors to Twitter emerging? Why is Twitter losing so many customers? And it's because they're censoring everybody. He probably thought, you know what, I'll buy it, uncensor some of the people, and then, we'll make it more valuable, and then we'll turn it public again. That's what he said he was going to do. So of course, he's saying he's doing a poll to reinstate Trump. Why? Because he wants to see what people on Twitter actually think. And it's kind of smart. We're up to 932,000 votes. 62% say yes. And that's probably where it's going to be. Because if he's like, the overwhelming majority of people want him on the platform, then I'm going to service the customers.
Still weak. Absolutely weak. I don't know what's going on with the audio. Is the audio okay, or is it fine? What's going on?
I feel like it's fine. I don't know if it's something. It's exactly the same as it was when I started. So I don't know.
Yeah, but okay. But anyway, it's still weak. It's still extremely disappointing. You make a decision. If you're going to be standing by free speech, that means standing by that decision and nothing else. Again, I don't know. Do we have the audio fixed?
Yeah. It's fine.
Okay.
You can keep talking.
I'm distracted with all of the
is
craziness
purple
over
muted?
here.
Yeah. All that's muted. Everything's fine. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay, that's all I had to say. Anyway.
I just feel like Elon Musk knows that he's ultimately trading in public popularity, right? So I don't actually know, and he could be a devout free speech purist. He loves it, but he recognizes that in modern application, it has to be limited in some capacity. I don't really know what his philosophy on this is. I just know that he's inconsistent in a lot of ways, and as much as I want to admire the things that he's done that are good, I feel like we all have to take it with a grain of salt and remember that like he is ultimately serving himself as far as we know.
Sure.
And we don't know what the end of that is.
I think he's running it like a CEO, like he's run everything else. So ultimately, the way he's looking at Twitter is what's going to be most profitable. If he ends up getting a huge mass of people who actually do leave Twitter and manage to force themselves away from it because Donald Trump is back on there sending out mean tweets, or because Alex Jones is out there existing, then maybe that's why he's decided against that unilaterally. Well, because it's clearly about the money.
Tweeted now.
Oh, yeah.
Can you read? You want to read it?
Hannah?
What?
Claire?
I'm sorry, you don't even know my name? Luke, I've known you for so long. Come on.
I said Hannah.
I think you have to read it. That's not my name.
No, yes it is.
Sorry, you haven't addressed
I
me
said
correctly.
Hannah, and then I was like, Claire.
He said, Vox Populi, Vox Dei. Ha, 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 Elon Musk.
Have they figured out the bots? Have they figured out the fake accounts on this particular platform? Because again, that was a major topic of discussion with Elon Musk previously talking about how many people were gaming the system, manipulating this big tech social media platform to the point where, of course, a lot of this stuff was illegitimate. So how do we know that this poll's actually going to be legitimate? How do we know that other systems, other people, other groups won't be gaming this poll for their own personal benefit, which still hasn't been cleared up to how many accounts are real, how many accounts are fake? How is this platform being used for the sinister purposes of a lot of powerful people? That's a question that I think a lot of people are still waiting to be answered. That might never be answered because we're still waiting to find out what's going on here. And if Elon Musk is just taking this approach just to make money, it's not going to be incentivized for him to be honest with the people about how many people are fake on the platform.
No, and I would say that's what is Twitter Blue of doing nothing but, putting certain people forward. It's just being a little bit more honest about it than Twitter's been in the past. That it's what you're going to see because you pay us for it. And there are people who are so addicted to Twitter that they will, I think, probably stay there and keep doing it at least for the time being.
They created this rumor last night that Twitter was going to shut down. And it's very clever organizing on the part of the left. Basically, the idea is make people fear they're going to lose their followerships or whatever, and then you'll get them to leave the platform. And so they do. They say, oh, no, Twitter's going to shut down by tomorrow, quick. And then everyone says, everyone quick, follow me on Mastodon. And they're trying to create a surge, a tsunami, an inflection point where enough people jump ship that they'll actually start using the other platform.
I wouldn't suggest Mastodon for people on the left. It's totally, unfederated or defederated. So there's no moderating on Mastodon. People can use very naughty, nasty words that you certainly couldn't use on Twitter on Mastodon.
You can't censor them or whatever?
I'm sure there's some way to censor it.
They ban anything that's illegal in Germany, apparently.
I know that when there was a big Twitter surge, or they were all these hashtags moved, or like Twitter exodus a couple weeks ago, and then immediately they moved to Mastodon and couldn't believe all the racial slurs and anti-Semitism, and then they were like, "Oh no, my safe space." So I mean, it was really funny, but that's about it.
I mean, that's the reality of a decentralized network. They're not going to have the resources of a major corporation. So this is what you get.
I don't know. I just don't trust Twitter. I never trusted it before. I don't trust it now that Elon's there. I know that it's sort of a personality thing. Some people live or die, but I really feel like in some ways, like I'm on it professionally to get news releases as they come out because so many people have converted it into this, tool for the PR. But I don't trust Elon Musk. like if this is how we decide who gets to be on Twitter, I don't want to be there anyways, right? If it's like if you
I'm
have
more
to
concerned
be,
about double verification. Like verifying anybody who pays money is the stupidest idea. Maybe he thought people wanted it so bad that he was going to make a ton of money right away from it. I feel like this whole rollout has been just really, really bad. Like, Elon, you either go for it or you don't. There's no half measures. You think I'm going to pay $8? Like, I'm inclined to actually cancel so we signed up Timcast News for Twitter Blue for the verification for the most part. And because it's a new account and we wanted to have access to like filters or whatever. And also I want Twitter to succeed. I want it to work with what Elon is doing. I want to believe that when he reinstates some of these people, we saw last week some people got reinstated. All right, that's really good. And then he comes out and he's just like, I don't know, with all this stuff. Basically, I'm kind of just okay. All right, now I'm not entirely convinced we're going to see this platform get fixed. So here's my mindset now. I'm not rooting against Elon on this stuff. I'm looking forward to some improvements, but I'm going to lean back a little bit. I was leaning back last week or 2 weeks ago. Then we heard last week that he had reinstated some accounts, and I was like, okay, so it looks like he is going to start improving things. And I said, okay, I'll get Twitter Blue, but I'll get it only for Timcasters. I'm not going to buy for my personal just yet. We'll see what happens. Now we have this, and I'm kind of like, eh.
Do you think Elon could have done more with a secondary platform? Like if he had taken over, not Truth necessarily, but like some other thing?
This is the one thing that Ian is very, very wrong about all the time, freeing the code. Twitter's code is garbage. It's nothing. Their algorithm, sure, I guess. I agree with Ian insofar as free the code so that we can know what the algorithm is doing to us because it's manipulating us. But Gab, Parler, Getter, Minds, the ability to input text and have a server output it to a person who decides to follow a number, not hard to do.
Yeah.
So what Elon bought was you and me and Luke and Aydin and Serge. He bought all of you at home who use the platform. It's a community of people. Having control over that is useful. How do if you launch a new Twitter, how do you get people to use it? You can't, because what makes Twitter valuable is that people are there. Mm-hmm. It is downtown. So you can buy a little store in the suburbs, I guess. Getting people to show up there is going to be a lot harder. So this is what Elon really wanted. I don't think it could have been better or worse. The problem is you can't have it both ways. Let me pull up this tweet here. Elon Musk tweeted, "What should Twitter do next?" Originally, good name, says, "Bring back Alex Jones." Elon Musk says, no. The Hodge twins tweeted, "Should Elon bring back Alex Jones?" Of 140,000 votes, 57.7 say yes, 42.3 say no. And then we have this tweet from Viva Fry, who makes the perfect point. "Alex Jones is the litmus test, Elon Musk, not just on the issue of freedom of speech, but on the issue of not bending the knee to political and judicial intimidation. If this is a hard no, your Twitter will never be any more trustworthy than Parag or Jack's Twitter." And Elon responded, "Too bad." There you go.
What a prick. Seriously, if you're going to do something like this, violate free speech for an individual that is controversial while allowing other controversial voices to be on there. If you're allowing Kathy Griffin to be on there, but not Alex Jones, at least explain yourself.
And what did Alex Jones do?
Well,
he yelled at Oliver Darcy.
Yeah,
he was in one of the congressional
and confronted
buildings.
Jack Dorsey.
Well, his banning was over Oliver Darcy. He put up a video where he was calling him a rat face or something. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that, right? I can't stand this stuff. There's a lot of people who just laugh and say, no, they deserve it, and Alex was right. And it's like, I don't care. You're allowed to like that. Fine. It's free speech and all that, but I don't like it. And I certainly don't think he should have been banned for doing it. If you're in public and someone's mad at you and they confront you, there was no security threat or anything like that. It was just Alex yelling at the guy. They banned him for it. Kathy Griffin held up an image of a severed head, and she didn't even get banned for that. She got like a slap on the wrist. She got banned because she mocked Elon Musk, parroting his account without putting parody, trying to, I guess, make a point or whatever. He reinstates her. But holding up a severed head of the president, that was never in question.
Yeah, she also evaded the ban and then went on her dead mother's platform in order to still raise her voice against Elon Musk. So again, something's happening here. You're going to allow her to have a voice, but not Alex Jones. Explain your reasoning. Don't be a prick. Don't just say too bad. What's going on here? Is there internal pressure? Are there people inside of the company that are saying, no, don't do this? Are there corporations? Are there government agencies? Are there any other institutions that are pressuring you to do this? At least explain yourself if you're going to be making this kind of statement. And Alex Jones, of course, responded, making his own video regarding this specific news. And he says, hey, guys, don't blame Elon Musk here. Alex Jones is trying to be the bigger person here, addressing this larger saga here. But at the end of the day, we at least deserve an explanation because we were promised free speech. This is not free speech. This is a person deciding what he wants with his own whims that shouldn't be acceptable to anyone.
Yeah, I was going to say, Alex Jones doesn't have a choice but to be the bigger person, right? If he goes on a tirade and is mad at Elon, he's like, your family's not even that cool.
He could be like Kathy Griffin and go nuclear and go crazy.
But it's okay if she does it.
Exactly.
She's a really funny comedian. You don't understand.
Hilarious.
Hilarious.
It's the same thing with now the 230 ruling, though, right? Of that, maybe you could make the argument that Elon is worried that, Alex comes back and because he's being sued for $3 trillion now, which is, I believe it is
it 3 trillion?
It's $3 trillion, which is just a little bit under twice.
Is it really 3 trillion?
Yes, just a little under twice the annual DoD cost.
I think it's 3
Department of
times
Defense.
the GDP of France.
Something like that. It's an absurd. I just looked up today that it's twice the DoD's annual budget. So yeah, $3 trillion is on the table.
They're trying to fund the war in Ukraine.
Oh,
the
obviously,
money's got
there
to
you go.
come from somewhere.
But so maybe you could make the argument that before this decision comes down about Section 230 is that maybe Elon is worried that, well, if they're going after Alex Jones for the GDP of France, that then they'll come after him in some way. But if Section 230 is no longer going to apply to make it so that you can sue the platform for what someone on it says, then it doesn't make any sense.
People are bringing up that Alex Jones issued a statement saying Elon shouldn't bring him back. He's the most controversial person, and Elon's going up against everybody, and so he's got to do what he can. And I don't care. Alex, I understand what you're saying, and I get it. But either Elon is going to... There's a couple ways he could play this. He could just not respond. He could say nothing. He is choosing to come out and outright say, that free speech thing I tweeted about an hour ago? Screw that. I don't really care. So that's what pisses me off. I totally get that Elon's like, dude, there's only so much I can do. Totally get it. I respect it. He just bought this massive platform. It needs to survive. It needs money to operate. He doesn't want it to die. He doesn't want to lose money on that. And he wants to actually bring free speech back. I get it. You bring back Alex Jones, they go nuclear against you, and then the whole thing implodes.
He brought back Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate is back on the platform.
Yeah.
So how are we picking and choosing here?
Yes,
What's the scale here?
Well, the scale is, Alex points out, he's the most controversial person in the world. That being said, Elon did not have to come out and insult Alex's fans like that. Mm-hmm. He could have just ignored it.
Yeah, he didn't have to respond to anyone tweeting on Alex's behalf, too. I mean, he is looking for this fight, but to me, I just don't understand why. Like, what purpose is this serving for the...
Virtue signaling.
I guess, but to
He's
who?
the advertisers. So he can be like, look, see, I said I wouldn't bring him back. Because when he said he hadn't made a decision on Trump, or when he said he wasn't going to bring back Jones, a bunch of leftists were like, at least I saw high profile leftists, journalists saying at least some sanity and things like that.
He's getting positive feedback from that, which is the first positive feedback he's gotten on any of this. However, it is a slippery slope, and it's the same way they've fallen before, which is first it's Alex Jones, and then who else is then not acceptable.
But that's not true. He's getting attacked by the corporate media insanely. Every day there's hit piece after hit piece after hit piece. This is not being met with like, okay, this is great. This is being ignored, and they're still trying to attack him any way that they possibly can. So why are you trying to placate these people?
Right.
Or is he like trying to go over to the FBI or BlackRock or China being like, look at me, I'm a totalitarian. I'm a prick too. I can do what you guys do. Is that what you're doing? Because what else are we left to speculate here? Because otherwise, there's no other rational conclusion than him, as you, Tim, mentioned, specifically showing off to the powers that be, saying, I could play ball, I could play game, just tell me what to do and I'll follow those orders. And that's not a platform that I believe in. That's not a platform that I want to be on.
I want to read the super chat from Old Stick Key Taint. He says, voting for Trump's unbanning is a smart move. Force the advertisers to justify why they want to, pull advertisements when the majority of their target audience wants him on. Actually, yeah, that's a really great point. What Elon needs to say to the advertisers is, you are being attacked by activists who are lying to you and costing you money. Once we get rid of those bots, you will be able to actually target your audience who like people like Jones or Trump. That's probably the move he's making in that regard.
They'd have to publish or at least actually conduct some real internal research that they could show to their shareholders on that and the people they're selling advertising space
There's
to.
no shareholders.
Or not shareholders, sorry. Selling marketing
Well,
space
I think
to.
I think they do have technically stockholders or
Right,
because he does have people who are holding privately.
But
But
the people that they're selling advertisements to, then they would want to be able to tell them that, look,
Right.
that your advertisements are being shown to real people, and that those people, when they are given when they're given polls, because you can take these exit polls on Twitter, so they send you an email and you say, would you like to take this poll about your experience with Twitter? Oh, you get Twitter Blue for a month for free or something like that, so you can try it out if you finish our survey. There's all kinds of ways to incentivize people to give you data that you could use, and then take that and say, here to the advertisers, people say that they want Trump to this certain degree, and actually have something to sell to them and say it's not all bots anymore.
I tried advertising on Twitter because they're giving the double verification to everybody. So I tweeted, hey, Elon, how much do I got to spend to get the official tag? And I don't expect him to actually respond to me. But so I decided to take out an ad on our Trump going Super Saiyan shirt, which is available in the chat pinned. It's the Super MAGA shirt. And so I was going to put a big campaign behind it, $25K, to see if it's legit. And because, again, I do want to see Twitter succeed. I'm not just throwing money at Elon. It's advertising a product we sell that we make money on, that I bet if I spend this money, we're going to make more money back. They rejected it. They said a cartoon image of Donald Trump going Super Saiyan was political. Why? Now I'm deeply offended. I just wanted to sell a t-shirt of Donald Trump with Goku hair. You can't even do that, apparently.
Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, that was it. No, I was just agreeing. How do they determine what's political? Because I've only used the promotion feature once on YouTube, and it was, or not YouTube, on Twitter, and it was to promote a YouTube video that was not largely political, but there were politics involved in the video.
Yep.
So how do they determine what's political?
It's Trump.
Yeah.
They didn't want a cartoon of Trump that makes him look good. They don't want to take the money for that or something.
Well, my
I don't
video
know.
was an hour long, and it was political at some points, but they, I guess, didn't want to watch an hour-long video to figure that part out.
The image isn't even pro or anti-Trump. It's
No.
just meant to be silly. It's Trump with, spiky blonde hair.
Now, there's a couple things to consider, especially with this poll with Elon Musk asking if Donald Trump should be reinstated or not, because on October 3rd, Mashable has this article that I think is worth revisiting right now that's titled, "In Elon Musk's words, it seems Twitter bots are always to blame." Now, there hasn't been any kind of reckoning with the bots. There hasn't been any kind of discovery. There haven't been any kind of major bombshells surrounding the bots on big tech social media platforms, especially Twitter. But Elon Musk was complaining about the bots after he did a poll on his own Twitter account, specifically on October 3rd, asking if there should be a Ukrainian-Russian peace deal. After their response, he specifically said, "This is the biggest bot attack I've ever seen." So why, after not dealing with the bots, are we deciding if the former president of the United States, who's running to be president in 2024, will be able to have any kind of speech? Also, if you remember, he also tweeted earlier today that he believes in the policy of freedom of speech. No, he doesn't, but he says he does, but he doesn't believe in the freedom of reach, and he says negative content is going to be deboosted, demonetized. What's negative content? Who's going to be determining what's negative, what's positive? Again, everything here is arbitrary. There's no baselines, there's no rules. He's following along and doing horrible things like not allowing free speech on the platform, which he promised, which everyone now feels backstabbed about.
And that's that idiom that you see people on the left use so commonly of, oh, freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences. So it's basically coming down to the same kind of thing.
I feel like at this point, everyone should just tweet at Elon Musk, like, give us a timeline on the bot situation. Like, didn't Ann Coulter have like a countdown every day that Donald Trump didn't like do something about the wall? Like, where is our like the bots are gone countdown? Because to both of your points, Elon Musk is putting out polls and then saying they're being hacked by bots. So you already told us it was a problem. And also, how are you supposed to give accurate data to any advertisers if they're always if you can say at any time, oh, well, the bots got to this. I mean, you would think that ideally, if he is working in true capitalism and he wants to make as much money as possible, he would be hounding his staff to deal with the bots. Or are the bots a problem that can't be solved? That's why I asked earlier, like, do you think he made a mistake buying Twitter? Like, is this platform, and I'm not a tech person, but is it so corrupted, the bots are something that can't be removed at this point. You can't purge them fast enough. At this point, would it be better to abandon ship and move on to something else, even though you can't bring the people with you?
Complete user verification would do something maybe to help with the bot
he's not
problem,
doing that.
But he's not going to do. And also, I think that you're going to lose a lot of people will leave the platform if you require someone to. Although you need to have a phone number.
You don't need to force everyone. It's if you want verification, you got to use a real picture, a real name. So we have verified you. I thought when he was talking about a verification, he was going to verify everyone the same way we have to be verified. Either a brand account that confirms they are the corporation, and it's really hard to do. I don't know if Twitter does it this way, but you have to like send them a photo of your articles of incorporation with like your ID showing that you are the officer because they're verifying you. For everyone else, you can use different photos and stuff, but typically you have to be the person you're verified to be. Milo Yiannopoulos lost his verification because he included in his bio BuzzFeed journalist or something like that. They said, up, you're impersonating, verification removed. So Elon comes in and he's like, you can have a badge you wanted so bad for $8. And then he just verifies everyone. Then when that implodes, he's like, I'll just give a second verification to big brands. And that's what my point was. Okay, what constitutes worthiness for getting verified twice?
I know, it's confusing. And it's weird being on the platform, seeing double verification. Only the corporate media, which again,
Only the
Elon
corporate
knows.
media.
Elon knows the corporate media runs scams. If we're going to be fighting disinformation, if we're going to be getting rid of controversial figures that spread disinformation, CNN needs to be gone from the platform immediately. MSNBC needs to be gone from the platform immediately, and they're not. So if we're going to not allow Alex Jones for allegedly being misinformation, he got some things wrong. Obviously, we could criticize everyone. I've criticized him before, but at the end of the day, you take his record and you take it to the corporate media. He has told far more truths than, of course, the corporate media that's routinely lying to the American people and running larger psyopses against them.
Well, I can at least say I'm satisfied seeing stuff like this from Engadget. Democratic senators ask FTC to investigate Elon Musk over his handling of Twitter. What? The lawmakers cite the botched rollout of paid verification and the recent departures of top privacy execs. On what grounds does that constitute an FTC investigation? He fired people? Seriously? And the Democrats are now, this is what corruption looks like.
Well, now it's
years.
the public square. It wasn't
Right.
before. It's a private company; they can do what they want. But now we have an issue that the FTC needs to get involved with.
That's right. For years, Twitter has been wreaking havoc on our political sphere, on the public. And nobody would do anything about it. I mean, there were some Republicans that have hearings and they'd waste everyone's time. Now the Democrats are shocked and concerned about what's going on. It's all so fake. I'm done with it. It's fake. You're liars. I don't care to listen to you. We are wasting our time being bothered by even playing a game with these people. So I think the one thing you can do right now is improve yourself. Start a family, have kids, buy property, improve on your skills, get in shape. You want to succeed and you want to win this, get fit, eat right, cut out the sugars, have a family, make money.
That was my favorite thing that Elon said on Twitter. Like a little while ago when it came out that he had like secret twins, he was like, I have a big family and I hope you all do too. And I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, he was saying most billionaires don't have kids.
It's great.
But I'm saying if you think your path to victory, let's say you're really good at playing Monopoly. And so you're like, if I enter this Monopoly tournament, then I'll win the grand prize. Only problem is you realize that your opponent isn't playing fairly. And so you keep just playing the game, even though they're lying about everything that's going on. Eventually, you just got to say, maybe I should find another way to succeed. If everybody just focuses on themselves and ignores this obvious corruption and hypocrisy, I'm not saying don't resist it, don't fight against it. I'm saying stop asking them politely to please stop. Stop treating them like they're doing this on accident. That's my point. Improve yourself. Assume everything they're doing is intentional and designed to hurt you, and then figure out ways to overcome. Notably, right now, we've got to overcome the ballot harvesting operations they have. Scott Pressler says he's going to do it. I got faith he can. Let's see what we can do to help back him and many others who are going to start working for the 2024 election. And then maybe we can get some people in who will just do away with this stuff.
Yeah, people have to do something. The only one who did anything about the fortification was DeSantis. And, well, that went how it went.
Yeah. DeSantis 2024?
He's the only one who did anything. Everyone else complained about it and then did nothing.
He made some very interesting comments against the World Economic Forum today, which I thought was also kind of very eye-opening because very few politicians usually talk about these larger key issues that do affect them. But again, with this news of this Democratic senator asking the FTC to investigate someone, it's been 7 days since FTX went bankrupt. 7 days. Obviously, criminal fraud here. Obviously, people have been defrauded. People have been robbed of their money. No one got arrested. Madoff got arrested in 24 hours after his Ponzi scheme was exposed to everyone. 7 days later, and then we have the FBI warning the guy that they're going to maybe, possibly be going after him. Are you kidding me? This reeks of corruption, and this could be one of the reasons why Elon Musk is like, oh crap, the FTC might be on my butt. I got to do what they want me to do, as the federal government is telling big tech social media platforms to ban particular voices. Again, the U.S. government is violating the First Amendment in more ways than one, particularly when it comes to online speech. This could be one of the reasons why we don't have free speech, and we won't have free speech on Twitter as announced by Elon Musk today.
I think that's probably very likely that there's some, with this thing about the FTC involvement, that the federal government might have gotten in contact with him.
Yeah.
Considering, there isn't that over the FTX scandal.
Well, they keep threatening him on Twitter.
Right.
And so maybe he's just like, I got to tone things down.
I just think it's crazy. We can like threaten Elon Musk, FTX. There's nothing, but Taylor Swift's general ticket sale gets canceled, and there's already a DOJ investigation into
that was
antitrust,
hilarious.
into Ticketmaster.
They were charging like $20,000 a ticket or something.
Oh, it's crazy. It is a like Wild West in the
Are
Taylor
people
Swift.
buying it?
I have 6 tickets. I will proudly announce
Wait,
that.
what?
What?
Yeah.
How?
But you didn't.
So I'm a millionaire. Thanks, crypto. No, just kidding. The whole process was insane, and you have to like register beforehand to become a verified fan. They'll decide if you're a verified fan. If you are a verified fan, you get a code. It's texted to you. It's
This sounds like a cult.
it felt like such
Hannah,
a cool.
Hannah, are you okay?
I don't know Hannah Lou. I'm not sure who Hannah is. But like the process was insane. And the big thing was, I'm really sorry about this, Tim. I actually bought my tickets while I was live on Pop Culture on Tuesday, because
it's good content.
Well, yeah, and the ticket sales got delayed for so long that I like carried my laptop up and I was like, look, Brett and Mary, like I'm here for you. I do this every Tuesday, but I have to get these tickets. It's now or never.
Did the tickets come with Kool-Aid?
Not that I know of, but maybe at the concert she'll like inject us all. I'm not sure. I just feel like as a millennial.
Where is the concert?
She has a bunch. She has 52 shows. She's touring the country.
How much were the tickets?
Mine were $240.
Oh, okay.
Are you going to resell them?
No. Well,
But
I have
20
people
grand.
who I bought them for. Ticketmaster said that they gave out 1.5 million of these codes, put 2 million people on the wait list, and then they were expecting 30% of people who got codes to use them, and of those people, like each buy 3 tickets.
Okay,
I don't know where these numbers
But hold
came
on,
from.
right?
Go ahead.
So I heard it was reported that some of the tickets are 20 grand.
Yeah, so
Okay,
people
now
are
hold on.
reselling them.
You've got tickets for some people.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think those people would be happier to watch Taylor Swift or get 20 grand?
I honestly think they'd rather watch Taylor Swift, but I'll ask
come
them.
on.
We could phone a friend right now. I'll let them know.
The Kool-Aid is strong.
You
Tim.
don't understand. Like, there is such a... Like, I think it's twofold. I think people really like Taylor Swift. She hasn't been on tour in a while. But the other thing is, like, all of my friends who want to go to this concert were, like, robbed of 2 years of their 20s because of COVID. Like, they want to go out. They want to do things.
To see Taylor Swift?
Look, man, you weren't indoctrinated the way I was indoctrinated.
We're judging you very heavily.
I'm okay with that. I wouldn't have said it on this podcast if I wasn't
I
comfortable.
really have to know. I'm just really quick. What did you have to do to prove that you were a Taylor Swift?
I have no idea.
Oh.
Of 15 different people I
because you
talked to.
rebought them?
No, I bought
Oh.
them. I got a code. I don't know why I was selected other than they wanted to like see my heart rate go up. I'm not sure. But it was this insane process. Ticketmaster crashed. AOC tweeted during this pre-sale, as everyone was complaining about it, they're a trust. We should break Ticketmaster up because they
Yes.
had this.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
but that's just because she couldn't get her.
That's
Taylor
what I
Swift.
thought. I was like, this girl wants to go to the concert. I have one more AOC if you'd like to come with me. No, but it's this crazy thing where we have this pop star returning to tour after COVID, and by Friday, after this disastrous sale, there's already an antitrust investigation. Like,
Oh, I know. It's amazing.
why are they moving this quickly? Amy Klobuchar's granddaughter wants to go to Taylor Swift.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
didn't
why.
get tickets, and she's like, bring the DOJ in. Like,
It's the second anything in any way negatively affects
Hold on.
those in the oligarchy, then all of a sudden they put their feet to the fire and they care.
Exactly.
How old is Taylor Swift? She's 32. So she's not going to be old enough in 2024, is she? No. Oh, wait.
You have to be
Oh, she is going to be old enough.
Taylor Swift.
Taste swing.
She's,
We've got an idea for you.
There you go.
Her birthday is December 13th, meaning that by the time she would be inaugurated, she would be 35 years old. Taylor Swift is going to run for the Democratic ticket. That's it. That's what they're doing. That's
think that
that's
makes
why
sense.
AOC is all over it.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean,
my math
I
wrong?
think she is that
89?
influential among at least young voters.
No, wait. Maybe I'm wrong. What? Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she's going to be 34.
Catch her in
Yeah,
2028.
she'll be 34, I think. Wait. She's about to turn 33. So that means she'll be 34 in 2023. Yeah, she'll be 35 at the end of 2024.
You're right.
So that means she can run because by the time she's going to be sworn in, she will be old enough to be president. 35, right?
I would do anything to see a Trump Taylor Swift debate.
Oh,
I'm just gonna
man.
put it on. I will sell tickets to that. Ticketmaster can crash again.
Okay, I'd buy those ones though.
What
You get me on
about
that
like a
one.
Trump Kanye ticket versus like a Swift Obama?
Wow.
Swift AOC, Trump Kanye.
Swift Ocasio Cortez.
We're going a little bit dangerously into idiocracy here, though.
Yeah, but at this point, I'm like,
It's
let the.
fun.
I feel like we're going down a water slide, and like the only way to get through it is just to roll through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, Taylor Swift presidency.
I just can't imagine.
IQs are dropping, so anything's possible.
But the thing is, she's a figurehead. She is the pop star of an entire generation, and to so many people who were raised, especially in the social media era, she has more influence than any politician. I mean, AOC has whatever amount of followers online. She has also kind of translated herself into an internet presence, but really, there are certain people who capture attention, and whether you like it or not, Taylor Swift is one of them. And I respect that she's not everyone's thing. I myself don't like a lot of her music, but I feel compelled, like I have to go to this concert.
Think about like just for a moment. Bear with me. How cool would it be if like Taylor Swift runs and then she becomes like the most brutal dictator ever? It's just like extrajudicial assassinations are through the roof, tenfold what they were under Obama. And then it's like you have like a documentary 50 years from now. President Swift was the most aggressive authoritarian leader any nation had ever seen.
The reign of Tay Sway.
Running
Yeah,
under
she's
the
like,
campaign
drop
slogan.
the bombs.
Running under the campaign slogan, shake it off.
The IQ deficit thing is really fascinating, which because children that were born during the pandemic, during the lockdowns, which again, this being the first time people can get out, one study found that they have a 30-point IQ deficit using
30 points.
Yes.
Woo.
Of early for infant IQ tests, which those are not super valid. But if that maintains in the early studies of 30-point IQ deficit, that would mean that the average person born in that 3-year period would have an average IQ of 70. And remember, average means the middle, meaning the other half is lower than that. Horrifying.
It's like that George Carlin joke. He was like, think about how stupid the average person is. Now realize half of them are stupider than that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Honestly.
Well, I feel bad for these kids, but I mostly feel bad for myself because by the time I'm, in my 50s and desperately trying to vote to save this country or planet, you're gonna have a lot of really dumb people voting, and they're gonna be like, masks are good. I used to wear masks all the time. I vote for masks, and it's like a mask.
No, I think it's gonna be
mandatory
worse.
masking when you're going to the bathroom.
They're going to be like, I don't feel comfortable without my mask.
There's
I
already
need my mask.
preliminary
It's a
data on
security-
that.
Isn't that crazy?
but it's going to be like, they're not going to say that because their IQs are very low. They're going to be walking into a room and someone's going to be like, you got to take the mask off. And they go, I need the mask. And they go, sir, take the mask off relief. And then they go, and then they're going to be like, okay, you can wear the mask. Jeez.
As they're sucking down on their watermelon peach vapes.
Right.
I could just see it now. We're doomed.
Watermelon peach? Is that like the flavor that you
I
think
just
dumb
made
people
something
would-
up as I was talking.
Sounds pretty
That's
good,
his personal
actually.
favorite vape flavor.
It'd have to be like
I don't do
avocado
flute.
toast flavor or something.
I used to.
Avocado toast flavored vape. Sounds horrific. And Taylor
that
Swift
would
is giving them out
translate
at her campaign rallies.
Yeah, there you go. It's how you get the young people involved.
Speaking of low IQs, let's pull up this story. New York City lawyer sobs in court as she's sentenced to 15 months behind bars for firebombing NYPD van with Molotov cocktail fashioned out of a Bud Light bottle during BLM protests. Uruj Rahman asked a judge to spare her prison time and give her a second chance to redeem herself for what she called a momentary lapse of judgment. Lady, prison is for dangerous people. Okay, 15 months, you're getting a slap on the wrist considering you firebombed a car. If it was like she threw a rock and it hit somebody in the head, I might be like, okay, 15 months, don't throw rocks, people, come on. No, she threw a firebomb. She was handing them out to people.
Yeah, literally.
So, again, speaking of low IQs, we're already seeing how bad it can be when these people have momentary lapses of judgment. The scary thing about it is that people like her, they think they're smart. That's the scary thing.
Midwittism.
Well, midwits are average, midwits are slightly above average.
But they're very convinced that they're usually part of when people get called midwits. It's that they are also part of that, convinced that they are very intelligent, which makes it dangerous.
Midwit is basically, they are a little smart, like a little bit above average, but they're not smart enough to truly understand. So they're active players like these journalists, the corporate press, they're midwits. There's that IQ bell curve you see all the time where the dumb guy and the smart guy agree on things and the average person is like doing the wrong thing, pro-establishment or whatever. This is kind of scary when you think about it. And then you realize that we're going to have a wave of substantially stupider people due to the masking policies and the lockdown policies in these schools. These kids are all developmentally stunted and they're not getting those years back. I don't know if you guys ever read about the girl raised by wolves. Mm-hmm. I mean, not the girl, but there's a bunch of stories of kids. Mm-hmm. They never learn. Mm-hmm. By the time they're adults, there was some story I read about a woman who was seriously abused and locked in a basement until she was 13.
Oh, her name was Trixie or something like that?
When she was finally rescued, she couldn't learn to speak proper colloquial English.
Right.
She could only say certain words like hungry, sleep, but she couldn't actually articulate long thoughts with other people. That's scary, man.
Those foundational developmental years are really, really important for children to become adults or to be able to function whatsoever in society. So yeah, a child can survive in the woods being raised by wolves. You can survive, but you can't, you're going to have so many developmental issues. So with these children who have grown up never seen their parents' face or very rarely seen their parents' face, which is a huge part of it, of forming the connection between mother and child and father and child, they don't have any of that. So that does explain partially why the IQ deficit is what we're seeing in the preliminary data.
You ever see that study where they had they brought in a bunch of moms with kids, and then the mom would not respond to the baby's facial cues? Have you seen that? It's so sad. The baby tries to get the mom to react, and they told the mother, just remain stone-faced and do not respond to the baby. And then eventually the baby just starts crying, freaking out.
Yeah, these immune system deniers are absolutely sick and disgusting. I'm serious. When we look at the policies that they've implemented, they knew the horrors that this was going to bring. And we've seen video after video of these fat, bureaucratic, totalitarian teachers just shove a mask on a child's face as they're literally fighting with them. Toddlers, small children in kindergarten were forced to be masked, which is leading to severe developmental issues that we're going to be seeing the long-term consequences of, especially in the future. There was even major politicians that came out and said, guys, I made a mistake here. You did? Of course you did. We all knew you did. We were talking about this. We were warning about this, and our voices were censored by big tech social media, and this is why it went on for so long. It was because of that censorship. It's because people couldn't push back. It's because the ideas couldn't be challenged or tested in the public sphere, and we were censored, and we had to continue with this ludicrous, nonsense, bullcrap, insane policy that has hurt children in so many unspeakable ways.
I interviewed a mom on Long Island a couple months ago when schools were going back and forth over whether or not they would remove their mask policy, and she was just telling me about her experience. I wrote about it for the site, but one of the worst parts of it, she told me, was that there was a girl in the school who got sick in class, threw up in her mask. She's in the second grade, and they made her walk to the nurse's office without taking her mask off.
Evil. Evil.
This is insane. Why would we live this way?
Well, even before this, did you ever hear the story about what's going on in Chicago, where they lock kids in padded rooms? There was a little boy who was acting out, so they brought him into a padded room, locked the door, and then just left him there for hours. He started screaming, he had to go to the bathroom, so they ignored him. And when his parents finally came, they found him with crap on his pants, and he's like a little kid, I forgot how old he's, 5 or 6 or something. So this stuff's been going on. It's only getting worse. Homeschool your kids, because
one last point on the COVID stuff. There was a study that I came across. It's by Dr. Raymond Palmer. It's called COVID-19 Vaccines and the Misinterpretation of Perceived Side Effects. Clarity on the safety of vaccines. If you don't mind, I'd like to read a few lines.
What is
The basic premise is that all of the side effects are just because people were mean about it. People were mean on Twitter about whether or not they wanted to get vaccinated.
They did a study.
It's
said
not a real
people-
study. It's his contention.
Ah,
His contention.
so what's
yes,
his publication?
it's published in the Journal of Biomedicine in this last year.
Is that a reputable publication?
Yes, it is. That's the horrifying part. But basically, he says much of this anti-vaccination sentiment could be attributed to the alleged side effects that are perpetuated across social media from anti-vaccination groups. Fear-mongering and misinformation being peddled by people with no scientific training to terrorize people into staying unvaccinated could be causing the side effects in the vaccination process.
So but we're not talking about like kids being masked. We're talking about...
It's saying any kind of I saw this today, but any kind of side effect of anything
Is
socially,
because people are sad.
medically, is because of anti-vaxxers being mean on social media.
Well, hold on there. Guys, we got to stop being mean.
I know.
That's the only way.
Is that the cure to
That's-
COVID?
Apparently.
That's everybody will be healthier. Well, to be fair, I mean, stress does cause health problems.
It does. That's
so-
his contention. He
Well,
says, yep.
I think his contention is garbage, but we can all try to be a little nicer.
Also, I don't feel like the anti-vaxxers were, again,
Well,
I'm
you
not an
banned all of
avid
them.
Twitter user, but I felt like the dominant pressure was to get vaccinated, was to follow through. And those who questioned that were the ones who were attacked.
He's literally accusing people of what the establishment was doing.
Yes.
And as a perfect example, perfectly described it, except for his side was doing that.
Right. And what his contention was, his evidence for it later in it is that, well, women had more myocarditis and different kinds of cardiac events following, exposure to social media. And it's because of that there's this issue. It's
actually,
caused by
that sounds
people being
plausible.
mean. It is plausible. Women are more likely to have really severe stress reactions to
Social pressure.
Yes,
I mean, because
social pressure.
we talked about that study where like teenage girls are getting depressed from Instagram. I mean, if you are susceptible for whatever reason, be it COVID or now they have that study that NBC News reported about where they're doing Pfizer and Moderna, I think, are doing long-term studies on myocarditis and pericarditis, which they say is very rare. But my point is, if you are susceptible for whatever reason and you're having heart palpitations because of stress on social media, I mean, I don't think anti-vaxxer makes the most sense, but the idea that social media stress could increase your risk for any kind of heart
for
issue.
sure.
Just
kind of a weird, convenient thing to say.
No, I think
we're seeing this increased stress in people, and it is causing them cardiac issues. It must be the anti-vaxxers on social media
Right.
that are responsible for it, which is again a convenient way to
Who
blame
are
others for what
not
they're doing.
reporting heart issues.
You could say it's cancel culture.
Oh, sure.
The fear of being canceled, of not fitting in, of not virtue signaling is causing people to have heart problems. I actually would believe that too, especially with what we know. I think, we've seen a lot of young girls negatively impacted by social media. They get depressed when they don't get enough likes, but they're younger, so their hearts aren't going to give out. But what if you're like a 50, 60-year-old woman and you're wrapped up in this stuff? Like, I don't know if you guys saw the Rosie O'Donnell, Kathy Griffin TikTok they put out, and it's just cringe, like super cringe. But I imagine for them, they're a lot older. They're active on social media. They're probably getting stressed out bad by this stuff, but they also just have old hearts. So, I wouldn't be surprised if you came to me and said that Kathy Griffin was having a heart condition. I'd be like, yeah, the lady's strung out on Twitter. Like, she's losing it.
Sure, with a problem with a study like that where he's making his contention and his conclusion is that, well, there's competing variables here. There's alternative hypotheses, and you're just contending that this must be the correct one. But that one could very well be part of it as well, is that women really are getting more stressed out because of social pressures on social media.
I think it's fair to say that myocarditis is not caused by mean tweets. I think that's the baseline that we should be having here when it comes to this discussion.
But hold on.
Prove it in a study.
No,
And
hold on.
then I'll rely on Pfizer and Moderna to tell us what to believe in, since
But-
they're investigating themselves, so they're very trustworthy.
Right.
But I do think it's a fair point to say if you're susceptible, being stressed out will increase your risk probably. Like cortisol stressors causes negative health consequences. The point I'm trying to bring up is, guys, I get it, but social media is bad for us. The algorithms are manipulating us. They're controlling us into believing stupid political nonsense, and young girls are getting depressed. Mostly young guys are getting depressed too, but it's mostly young girls getting depressed by this. I got no problem being like, I am absolutely willing to throw the algorithms of Facebook under the bus on this one, if it means we can, I don't know, do something about it, change it or fix it.
Well, there were a couple wrongful death lawsuits going. There's one in the UK with like a 12-year-old boy. There's one in California with like a 19-year-old girl who are they basically are arguing that the algorithms fed them content that they may have been predisposed to anxiety or issues, but it encouraged these mental health issues to the point where at least one of the children killed themselves.
If it's the 12-year-old boy in the UK that I'm thinking of, then that lawsuit is completely bogus.
Yeah.
Because yes, he was being bullied online, but he had horrible home life. And then it also turned out that if that's the one I'm thinking of, that his mother, then he was brain dead and was kept alive on ventilators for 3 months while he was literally, his brainstem was necrotizing while she was making money by posting pictures of him on social media in a diaper. And if that's the same story, then
I don't know. I know there have been several lawsuits. I just find it interesting. And again, maybe not all of them are valid, but I find it interesting that people are choosing this route to say like we are experiencing the suffering right away.
We didn't evolve in these conditions whatsoever. So
No.
of course it's overstimulating to the dopaminergic center of the brain.
I want to talk about chickens, so I'm just going to hard segue, and it's Friday, and so we're chilling. But we have this story from GBN. Eggs to be rationed across UK until spring 2023. Supermarkets including Tesco, Asda, and Lidl taking urgent action. Buy some chickens. I don't know if this is going to happen here in the United States. Probably not. We're a very, very big country. I think we've got more farmland than the UK. They're not as large. But the energy crisis. I'm bringing up the eggs thing just to be silly. It is a very serious story. But with what's going on in Ukraine and Russia, the latest report I saw was that Russia was pulling back missile batteries, and so they're expecting a barrage to come down, like a serious one now. Like Russia's not giving up on this, and that just means it's going to get a lot worse. Now that the midterms are over and Joe Biden is done dumping strategic petroleum, the prices are going to skyrocket again. And now we're also hearing this. 25% of U.S. faces potential winter electricity outages. Fuel shortages have increased risk to U.S. power grid. So buy some chickens, just a couple in the backyard, I guess, if you can. And, they'll eat the bugs, live in the pod, and they'll give you eggs. But I will just say right now, we're looking at home prices collapsing. People don't want to buy. Interest rates are going to go back up. Inflation's getting worse. Gas prices are going to skyrocket. The Band-Aid that they put on the economy to try and save Democrats in the midterms is now losing its effectiveness because a Band-Aid over a bullet wound can't do much for long. So, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, first of all, I agree with the buying chickens things. We've got them over in the UK, so I guess we'll be all right from the egg crisis that's coming, allegedly. But yeah, absolutely, it was a Band-Aid, as you said, and it can't do much for a prolonged period of time to deal with the really disastrous effects of the Joe Biden presidency that were just temporarily ameliorated by this injection of money. And people are going to feel it. And who are they going to blame? Because the media will say it's the Republicans. You should have voted harder. You didn't vote hard enough. So I don't know. How are people going to be able to explain that to themselves?
And also the Trump presidency from the lockdowns as well. We have to understand the lockdowns are still having a very severe effect on our economic way of life. There's even major shortages of antibiotics that people can't find in U.S. hospitals where children are left stranded and screwed over because they don't have the medicine because the supply shortages from that lockdown are still affecting our financial markets today, which is absolutely crazy. And I think we still haven't seen the rest of it yet. These financial consequences of just spending money, giving people $2,000 checks, bringing back the Inflation Reduction Act, which doesn't really reduce inflation, but spends more money on climate and other social justice warrior causes that Bill Gates spurs on, is not going to help anyone. We have to understand we're in for some big trouble, and there's no denying it.
This is kind of a segue, but Biden's 80th birthday is Sunday. And
happy birthday,
we
Joe.
did not get an annual physical released this week, which I find to
really?
be extremely annoying. I know that the Biden administration is not trustworthy, but at least pretend. I would have liked to have seen the report that inevitably would have declared that he is competent and healthy and good at stuff. Because at least then you are keeping up the premise that you have to pretend. I don't trust the Biden administration, and I am now concerned that they aren't even pretending to hide anything anymore. They are openly not talking about his health. They're not even walking through the steps.
Yeah, they're not even pretending the emperor has any clothes at this point. It's all, I guess everyone knows. Is anyone really
Well,
surprised?
they're stuck, right? If they put out a clean bill of health, everyone goes, I don't think so. And if they don't, they have to admit that he's not going to run in 2024. And they're not willing to do that either. I feel like this is such a strange power grab. And I feel sorry for my generation and basically all Americans out there who are having to pay the price for this.
You know, I'm sad for this country because we should be teaching our younger generation how to think critically and how to survive. And we've not done that. And now we have a whole bunch of, whiny, woke, loser cultists who are like, I have to work 8 hours on Saturday. We need a union. And it's like, okay, dude. At this point, I'm kind of just like, take your cities. You can have them. I'm going to get away from the cities, move somewhere else, and just try and succeed. And I encourage everyone else to do the same. I'm not saying abandon the political fight. Quite the opposite. I'm saying make sure you are cleaning your room before you try to change the world, right? And then my attitude is your worst case scenario, if you get in shape, eat right, start, working on yourself, is that if it all comes crumbling down, then you'll be all right. You'll be okay. And the hipsters will be like, why can't we get avocado toast anymore? And you'll be like, because they're grown in Mexico in the winter and they ship them here. And now there's no energy because you're an idiot. You don't want to do any work. Fine. You don't get your avocados. I mean, man, look at this Twitter stuff.
The Twitter meltdown.
They're like, I worked 4 hours a week and Elon and doesn't want to pay me $500,000. And it's like, and it's I've said it before. If the American people knew how much money these like New York media people were getting paid for as little work as they're doing, there would be a revolution overnight. Working class people in this country do not understand. You walk into that Google office, these people are all six figures and they do nothing. I'm watching people like sit there drinking coffee, reading a book. I used to go there and, I'd be invited because I know people at Google. I'd be in their cafeteria. I'm like, so what is it these people are doing? It's remarkable to me that when I worked at O'Hare, I'm lifting 50,000 pounds of luggage every day for $10 an hour, struggling to make ends meet, couldn't afford it. And then when I walked in that Vice office for the first time, I just started laughing. I was like, where is everybody? And like, they work from home. I'm like, what? They publish like one article per week. Amazing.
Well, I want to go work at Vice. One article a week? Ooh.
There you go.
Well, they're laying people off now.
Yeah, there was that
No, I'm
TikTok
kidding. I like it
video
here.
That went viral a couple months ago, was it, or weeks ago?
Inside
where it
Twitter?
was, no, it wasn't about Twitter. It was about LinkedIn.
Yeah, right.
Where the woman's like, here's a day in the life of a 23-year-old whatever at LinkedIn, and all she seemed to do was sit around and eat snacks.
We were talking about the journalist yesterday. He was driving a Ferrari in a $5 million mansion, and we were Porsche. Excuse me. Yeah. I got the difference there.
Come on, Lewis, get it.
What's going on?
Listen, it's still ridiculous, and again, there is so much of these people that take so much for granted. They're so entitled, and we're so lucky to even be born in the United States. When we compare how we live to how the rest of the world lives, there's a big difference. If you travel the world, you see it, and it's shocking, it's terrifying, and to see people take advantage of that, and to see people just not want to work hard in this situation, not take all the opportunities presented to them, is just mind-boggling to me personally, at least. But I would never want to be at Vice ever.
They're pod people.
Yeah,
They're pod people.
They're NPCs. Like, look, good times make weak men. Yeah. You got a lot of people who are born into the peak of American gluttony. They do no work. They never had to work. They never had hardship. Mm-hmm. And now they're thrust into the world. And we used to say that these woke people got out of college, they're in for a rude awakening. We were half right. Most of them were in for a rude awakening, got really angry, and now are voting to make the world like their daycare campus. Mm-hmm. But we're also seeing funny videos of people being like, they scheduled me for 8 hours on the weekend. I need a union.
That's a great one.
8 hours on the weekend? Oh, heavens me. Wow, you have to lift a rock.
To Lewis's point, like, both of my... This is horrible. I don't know why we started this. But, like, I mean, I know you have a similar story, but both of my parents are immigrants. And I remember asking my dad once, do you ever wish that, he had opportunity to move back to England before they had kids. And I remember asking him, like, do you ever wish that I had your accent? Do you ever wish I was more in touch with that part of our culture? And he was like, no, we knew it was a dying country. Like, we left so you would have opportunities that we did not think you would have in the UK. Like, that was more important. And I think that is a perspective that so many people don't have. Like they assume that things will always continue to get better and better. And when they're faced with challenges, they aren't willing to think critically about the sacrifices that have been made for them or that they need to make for their future.
Yeah, Gila is absolutely right.
Thanks, Larry.
There's a reason people in Poland literally have their own działkas. Działkas, they're called little plots of land that they have outside of their major apartment buildings where they just grow their own food. They also preserve their own food, can their own food. And growing up in Poland, it was routine during winter. Oh yeah, we make reserves and we have reserves that we could eat so we don't have to rely on the communist centralized government force that will give you a piece of paper allowing you a certain allowance of bread, of meat that you were given as a ration that everyone was allowed to have, which was absolutely crazy. You would have your own by being prepared. And I think with the government here becoming more centralized, that's something that more and more people need to realize, that at the end of the day, you are only responsible for yourself, especially when it comes to the larger crap storm coming our way that the government is creating.
Well, I feel like Leonard's right. You're responsible for yourself, but also you're responsible for your progeny and your family and your immediate community. Like you choose who you interact with day to day and the impact that you have on them. Like don't trust the government to make things better for you. That's what I don't understand about people coming out of college who are just waiting for someone to fix their problems. Like that's never been realistic. I don't know what experience you had in life that made you feel that way.
It was crazy when I was working for a company. I had somebody fresh out of college, first job, and they were telling me, I don't know how to do this task. Someone needs to tell me how to do it. And my response was, well, just figure it out. And they're like, what do you mean just figure it out? I need to be told what to do. And I was like, take the time to figure out how to operate the system. And then I had to explain to them, I was like, if someone else knew how to do it, they wouldn't have hired you to do it. But I get it. In college, you have a professor who tells you how to do things. That's not how it works here. You're hired because nobody knows how to do it, and it's your job to figure it out. Surprise, surprise, these people struggle.
Yeah.
They can't make it.
Well,
I think they're living in a myth. There's something called the Whig interpretation of history that you may have heard of, and it does rely on this belief system that things are always progressing forward in an upward and onward direction. So we have more technology, we have more freedom, whatever that is supposed to mean under a certain circumstance. But because we have more of stuff, therefore everything else about society must be better. And it's, I think, complete bunk.
I talk about this too. People are like, this is the first generation where we're worse off than our parents. And I was like, I don't know if that's true, because my parents didn't have cell phones when they were younger. They didn't have access to the summation of human knowledge. They couldn't argue with strangers and look at pictures of cats, for better or for worse. And it was even really difficult to get TVs, very expensive. So if you wanted to go out Friday night with, grab drinks with your friends, like good luck, try calling on the phone, leaving a message, otherwise nothing. So we do have a lot more luxuries that they didn't have. Now, that being said, because of these things, good luck getting a job if you don't have a cell phone. Mm-hmm. So now it's a necessity. It may be beneficial to you, which means we may have better things, but we don't have the excess cash to start families. Mm-hmm. So, the things you own end up owning you. But let's talk about colleges. I want to talk about this story we got here from Daily Mail. University of California, Santa Barbara's Black Student Union holds free Black Panther Wakanda Forever screening, but asks white students not to attend. Yes, this is what they mean by diversity. Racial segregation. So there's another article from the Philadelphia Inquirer that was talking about, the writer was Mexican, and he was saying how, he didn't understand Black Panther and what it meant for the Black community, seeing an African country that wasn't devastated by colonization. And then he was like, and then I saw Namor and Talokan in Wakanda Forever. And then I started to understand. And I'm just thinking, like, these woke people, their view of what is good in terms of racial ideology is stereotypes of races, totally segregated, and fighting with each other. That was the craziest thing. Like, Black Panther, have you seen it?
Oh, hell no.
Well, why not?
Thank you.
Why not?
I love comic books. I like Namor, by the way, so I have no interest in...
Namor.
Is that how it's pronounced now?
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Namor.
well, not for my entire life of reading Marvel comics, but whatever.
I don't think I'm supposed to roll the R, but...
Well, I don't know. They've changed it. And so, exactly, my character's got a I'm Not Daredevil shirt, which is not from a particularly good run on Daredevil by Mark Waid, but I have no interest in modern comics because they have no interest in me.
But what don't you like about Black Panther?
I thought the first movie was okay.
Yeah.
But
it was like it was crazy.
Yeah, it was a good. It was a good movie, but I don't.
The main
I don't
character
watch any of this stuff anymore.
Was a Wakanda first, closed
right,
borders.
which was bizarre that they did make him a Wakandan nationalist.
I'm gonna spoil it. I mean, I've already spoiled it a million times, but you see, this is judging a book by its cover.
Mm-hmm.
Wakanda Forever, the point I'm making about how racist this is a movie quite literally about the most powerful nation on earth, so says Queen Ramonda, with a powerful barrier around their country that no one can breach, and a Mexican guy breaks in by crossing a river.
Oh, I watched your video about it earlier, so I've heard some other people talk about it, so I'm aware of what happens in the film.
And they're cheering for it. They're like, this is the greatest movie. And it's funny because we had Dave Landau here, and when we were talking about it before the show, and I explained it's a Mexican guy, and his back, as he climbs out of the river, is wet. And then I said, how do you think they defeat him? And he goes, do they dry him off? And I was like, yes. And he was like, so it's the greatest movie ever.
Right.
Yeah.
Stereotypes are a simple way of understanding the world, and that it's also something called a cognitive heuristic. We all rely on cognitive heuristics as mental shortcuts. So, for example, if you see a stick in the grass, we have evolved to very quickly make a snap judgment to decide if that is a stick in the grass or a snake. It reduces cognitive load to rely upon stereotypes. It literally means you have to think less. You expend less mental energy. So people like stereotypes for that reason. So I think that maybe in some way they're just like, oh, I can turn my brain off even more during this Marvel movie than I usually would because I can just rely upon stereotypes about other people.
Now that we've entertained that, and we talked about it before, I have this story from IndieWire. John Leguizamo calls out non-diverse Super Mario Brothers casting. It's going backwards. For them to go backwards and not cast another actor of color kind of sucks Leguizamo, who starred in the 1993 live-action version of the upcoming animated movie. Let me just explain this very simply. Mario and Luigi are two white plumbers. John Leguizamo is angry that two white guys were cast to play as white plumbers. This is the extent of wokeness in culture.
It sounds like they're making the far right position or argument that Italians aren't white.
That's what I was thinking too. That's really weird.
It is bizarre.
It's news to the white Italians.
But I've seen that very far right people will say because of
proximity to Africa or something?
Proximity to Africa that Italians aren't really white. If that's what you're saying, then I mean, okay, well, you and Richard Spencer can be buddies. But
here's the thing. You want to know what this is really about? John Leguizamo played Luigi in 1993.
Right.
And he wants to play Luigi now. It's a big role. It's big money. And he's mad that they're not casting him, so he makes it about race and says it's going backwards. Bro, if the argument is that people should only play characters that are their race, then you should be happy that white actors were cast to play white characters. The concern was when you had black characters voiced by white people. No, apparently now the concern is for the entire time, all these people ever really cared about was empowering themselves and making money.
As the only person of color here in this room, I think every studio should follow Netflix's protocol and make all the characters as diverse as they possibly can, no matter how ridiculous or absurd it is. The memes are absolutely hilarious too. When it comes
the toast
to
meme,
the book says they cut the white bread and it's a piece of black bread. I tweeted that one today too. But yeah, this is just people going crazy. I think this is just something highlighting our mental health decline. I think a lot of people aren't well. I think this is a perfect example of it. And I think this kind of regurgitation of nonsense is just becoming more and more normalized. And there's some woke companies that actually follow these principles, which is absolutely absurd. It's stupid. It's discriminatory. It's racist. It's ridiculous.
I mean, I think part of it is that the implication is that white people are meant to be secondary or replaceable. I think part of it is, to compensate. When I was in college, what I heard regularly was that because white people have traditionally held institutions of power, it's not even that you need to have representation, you need to have overrepresentation to compensate, right? So we can't have white Italian plumbers because they should have always been diverse to make up for the fact. It's such a trap, and at the end of it, you just hear that white culture is not real and fake. I am sure you could get an Italian actor. What was the mayor of LA? He was like, I am diverse because I am Italian. I identify with the Latino community. Excuse me, what? There is such an interest in divorcing yourself from Western European culture
Of course.
if you can grab at some kind of power. And I think that's because we're repeatedly told that it's supposed to be erased. We're not supposed to see it anymore.
Well,
to
that's
make
where-
up for wrongs from the past.
Yes, and that's where you get the Rachel Dolezals, right? Of gonna essentially, play at a minstrel show because this is how I gain institutional power, by pretending that I'm anything but white.
Like
And
Talcum X.
And Talcum X.
Or
yes.
Luke.
Well, hey, I'm officially recognized. I got the paperwork to prove it, but watch out, Tim.
From where? Where did you get paperwork?
Slavic people are people of color. You know that?
Right, I do, yes.
Listen here, Helen Claire. Don't you challenge
Leroy,
me? And don't
I'm
you
just saying, this is getting great.
Leroy. That's racist.
As completely the non-minority in the room, I'm just going to say it.
You're the whitest person
I am-
in this room. All right,
at
you should
most
not have a
times.
voice here.
I don't know what Serge is doing over
You-
there.
you
but-
white
Serge is
woman?
African.
That's true.
He's second in line, and I speak first.
As the dominant white voice in this room. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, I think this is this strange white guilt that we see cultivated, that it's like he thinks someone will clap him on the back. He'll get this
Yeah.
media write-up because, I don't know, maybe this guy is super relevant. Maybe we hear from him all the time.
Not recently.
Right.
No.
So the only time he surfaces is when he can denounce casting white people. Like, that seems like a
What a dick.
weird... Yeah, it seems terrible.
Well, who's gonna say anything against him in the mainstream media? Nobody. He'll just get applauded for this.
That's
How
the main
brave.
issue he worries about. How privileged does he
Right.
have to be? How lucky does he have to be to live in a world where this is his major issue? This is what he decides to rally behind. There's so much economic inequality. There's so much horrible things happening with our health. There's so much corruption within our political system. There's so many multinational corporations and big banks screwing everyone over. And this is what your main issue is? Come on, man. Get
I
a
wonder
life.
what compelled him to star in The Pest. You ever see that movie?
No, I haven't.
Nobody knows that reference? Oh, man.
That
Need
probably
some more
means
movie buffs.
I would say, to counter your point, though, Luke, just a little bit, media and culture do actually matter, which is why it's cool that you guys are doing so much of what you are doing. And I think that they're aware of that, and that's why he made the comment that he did, because he is aware on some level that media and culture does matter, and so he has to make his weird virtue signaling statement.
I'm bringing up this movie as kind of a dig against him because, like, if he wants to act out, I'm going to mention that he starred in the film The Pest, which is like a really, really bad late 90s movie that cost $8 million and only made 3.6. So,
What's the plot? Is there one?
man, I don't remember.
Was it diverse, though?
I guess. He's like,
Did he take a spot away from my
He gets-
Cooper?
Yeah, that is the operative question.
he gets hunted for sport or something.
Because he's white? That would
Well, he's
play
Puerto
I feel
Rican.
like you
today.
could make that
Yeah,
now,
today,
yeah.
today that would be.
The funny thing is, like, apparently there's this issue because he claims he's Puerto Rican, John Leguizamo, but his dad came out, he's like, he's Colombian.
Okay. There was a movie about that I thought that came out about a white family being hunted not that long ago.
There was that, actually it was really good, The Hunt.
Was that it?
Yeah, like everyone thought the movie was explicitly just like conservatives being hunted. But
Oh,
the,
yeah.
The film was actually a bit more nuanced than that, and actually was pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
The liberals were the bad guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like outright just really stupid
right.
and evil, and they end up. I'll spoil it for everybody because
I think it's been out for a few years.
right.
It's probably okay.
So the trailer made it seem like conservatives get hunted by liberals. You watch the film, the liberals are clearly the villains, and they kidnap incorrectly some woman because they had bad information. So not only were they evil for trying to hunt and kill like middle Americans who just happen to be conservative, the main character happens to have been incorrectly kidnapped and they try murdering her. And then in the end, even though the woman knows, like, whoops, you're trying to kill an innocent person, the liberal woman still wants to. So it's like they're outright just the bad guys. So I was like, actually, you know,
Do you think that people who saw that movie were able to catch on to the message?
they're explicitly the bad guys. It's like she's a woman.
That doesn't necessarily mean people understood it. Unfortunately.
So it's like her and her friends. I mean, I think it was well done. Her and they're having a text group, and then someone posts a joke about eating babies or something, and then it gets leaked, and then a conspiracy theory forms about it. So they decide they're going to kidnap and murder anyone who believes the conspiracy. They end up grabbing a woman of the same name as someone else online. She's totally innocent and has nothing to do with anything. It's not political at all. And then she ends up killing them all. So, like, I think it was actually well done. She's like, you got the wrong person. I don't care about any of this. She's like, I just want to go home. But, you know, I thought it was I actually thought it was maybe the criticism still stands that like at a time when there's this much political division, we shouldn't put out movies that are like that. But it was not a movie where the message overtly was, haha, go hunt and kill conservatives. But that's what the trailer made it look like. So maybe they could have done a better job of
Right.
that. Yeah. Maybe John Leguizamo could act in part 2 of that. I
There you
guess.
go.
There you go. Here's a job for you.
Yeah, but they got everyone talking about it, so they got everyone.
Right.
No,
you
they
know,
canceled
interested.
it. Remember though? Like they pulled it, and then later on they said, okay, we're going to bring the movie back.
Yeah, I don't remember that part of it. I remember hearing about it.
Even Trump
Yeah.
was tweeting about it.
What better way to promote a movie than
Well,
have
right.
the president of the United States tweet at it?
Well, now he can't do that anymore.
Well, yes.
So
What, is the verb truths? He truths about
he
it?
truths, I believe. Yeah.
Why did
Yeah,
he
yeah,
not
look,
name
look.
it trumpet?
Yeah, originally it was going to be
September.
September 27th, and then they said they were canceling it, and then later they brought it back March 13th. Yeah. Yeah, it made money. $14 million budget, $42.8 million revenue.
Well, yeah. Again, the tactic worked then, for one reason or another.
Yeah. There you go. Anyway.
Bit of an aside.
Yeah, it's an aside. Watch the movie. There you go.
What other movies should we watch? Do you have a recommendation? Going into the weekend. What are your recommendations?
Going into the weekend, it's Wakanda Forever.
Obviously.
Because it's funny how the woke people are like, "Yay, this movie's so good," and I'm like, "This
So you
movie
like
is like
nationalism.
super." Yeah, but like so the
That was
first
the problem with the first one, was the nationalism.
the first one was a patriarchal, ultra nationalist country, ethnocentric, ethno nationalist. In order to rule, you had to win trial by combat and be a man. Women weren't allowed to rule. And then the villain was basically an ethno supremacist who wanted to use their superior weapon to take over the world for their race. It's like that's an interesting narrative.
It was.
The good guy was Trump, the bad guy was Hitler. And then you have part 2 where this powerful nation wants to mind its own business, and then Mexicans are crossing through the river into the country wreaking havoc. I'm like, who are they making this movie for?
Who is the writer for this movie? I need to know.
man.
Who is sitting there like, okay, and what should we do next? Okay.
We shouldn't have Namor be Atlantean because of copyright issues. Let's have him be Mexican. And then he breaks into Wakanda, for some reason, a landlocked nation, by crossing the
There's a
river.
border wall. Or
Well, no,
sphere.
like-
I don't know what it is.
Oh, that's funny. It was over copyright reasons that he couldn't be from Atlantis.
I guess the issue was, Brett from Pop Culture Crisis was telling me this, that they didn't want to pay the original creator or like
Oh.
his estate. So by substantively changing Namor to Namor, which was, he was the child without love.
Right.
So in Spanish,
Okay.
she was like, my enemies call me Namor.
Oh.
It's like, okay, dude, no, your enemies don't call you that. One guy called you that 500 years ago.
You're cringing over there. It's making
Yeah,
me
that's all. I didn't understand. I didn't know about that part. But this is why I don't watch these movies, and I don't watch Lord or what is it, Rings of Power. I will watch other people on YouTube do 5-hour-long reviews of them for sure, because I find that entertaining.
I have to imagine, though, with like Black Panther, you'll end up with white identitarians and the woke identitarians sitting in the theater together cheering for the same messages.
I saw
Like,
that with the first one on, like on 4chan when the first one came out. There were people, the people who self-identify as Nazis being like, "Oh, we love this. This is great. We've got this ultra-nationalistic movie. Great."
And they're all cheering for it and they love
Yes,
it.
yes.
And then they're doing that University of California, Santa Barbara is doing a black-only screening.
Right.
There could be some like CIA reverse psychology here, because if you look at a lot of mainline movies, it's usually going against the big evil government or the multinational corporation or some kind of evil villain that wants to reduce the Earth's population for the greater good. I think there might be some kind of psyops here, just again, speculating here totally out of nowhere, of them just being like, we're going to put this in your head just so you don't see it in real life, potentially. I think there's something to think about.
What are they
that.
trying to put in your head?
Or they're trying to put that
Well,
satisfaction
I'll
of
give you-
rebellion in your head, so
No,
it
no.
doesn't come to fruition in real life.
I'll
right?
give you an example.
Because that's V for Vendetta. All the movies are like this.
There's a show, we talked about this on a members-only
The
show.
Matrix too. As well.
There's a show called The Good Fight. They did an episode, I think it was the finale, where a character based on Milo Yiannopoulos accuses Ron DeSantis by name of sexual assault. And in the show, they are saying over and over again, Ron DeSantis is accused, and here's what the guy's saying. And I thought it was interesting, so we Googled Ron DeSantis, The Good Fight. And what do you find? It's so weird. Ron DeSantis has many interviews where he says, I'm going to keep fighting the good fight. It just so happens a show called The Good Fight comes out where Ron DeSantis is accused of sexual assault. So what happens now when you Google search Ron DeSantis, The Good Fight?
What a vile psyop.
You see posts about sexual assault.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's all just one big coincidence, but man, was that very perfect.
Yeah, that wasn't the craziest aspect of the entire episode. At the end, Donald Trump runs to be president of the United States. And and this was before he announced, but the whole premise of the episode is a terrorist attack by right-wingers that are surrounding this black lawyer firm. There's 20,000 of them outside, and then they stage an attack on them that's going to assassinate all of them as they're shooting machine guns into their building.
And that was actually happening in the show.
That's the plot of the show. The plot of the show is that they're working, and these they wore the same outfits as the Patriot Front. And there's 20,000 of them outside in Chicago causing riots everywhere. And then they stage an attack where they, make sure that they block all the exits. And then they go on the roof and start shooting and trying to assassinate all the children and workers inside of this predominantly all black lawyer office.
What year is this supposed to be taking place in?
This is the last episode of this series that came out it's the same episode as the DeSantis episode.
Right, I know. Are these episodes standalone?
I have no idea.
Like is it an anthology show where every episode is its own contained little mini film?
I think it's a series that continues along the same kind of premise.
How do you do a season after that?
I think that was their season finale.
I know, but the start of the next season is so after Civil War started.
I think it's during a civil war.
Anyway, my point is I think they do these things in media because there's that famous line from Tina Fey where she said, "I can see Russia from my house." And then what happened was a bunch of liberals started saying, Sarah Palin said she can see Russia from her house. No, that was Tina Fey. Sarah Palin said, actually, from the westernmost point of Alaska, you can see Russian territory. And we have to negotiate with Russia because of the strait and trade routes, which is actually an excellent point when you're running for office and explaining that you have to negotiate with Russia now. And then Tina Fey made fun of her in a way that made no sense. And now these people believe that was the actual quote.
So it's called the primacy effect. In terms of whatever people see first is what they tend to believe. And when you have mass media versus some individual news report, people believe what they see first and tend to hold on to that information even after it has been corrected. So one of the really, I guess if you want to go along with all of the beliefs about how bad fake news is, the real problem with fake news, such as it does exist, is that it doesn't matter. There's several studies on this. It doesn't matter if you update the news article. People will remember what they read first. There's a competing theory called the recency effect that people will remember whatever they heard most recently. However, it has far less robust support within the data. The primacy effect is what we see very consistently, that whatever people hear first or see first sticks within their mind, and that's what they recall.
Yep.
So,
is there an emotional bond because of that first initial reaction?
There could be an emotional aspect to it, but it's more that people are just taking in information, going, okay, this is interesting or funny. And if you make it funny, by the way, it's called instructional humor processing theory. And what that finds is that if you're trying to teach something to anybody, make it funny because it increases recall.
I love the conspiracy theory that the government funds movies to block conspiracy theories like Men in Black, for instance. Mm-hmm. The conspiracy theory is that Men in Black are real, so they make a movie about it that's very exaggerated and silly. So that way, if anyone ever says, I was visited by Men in Black, they go, like the movie? Oh,
it's an episode of Stargate SG-1, like that, Wormhole Extreme.
Right.
Yeah.
We actually had Corin Nemec here last week. It was super cool.
That's
we talked about
awesome.
it. So actually, the episode of Cast Castle we did was Ian is convinced that Corin is actually Jonas Quinn.
Okay.
And then that's basically the premise, where it's like, it was funny because when we were writing it, I was like, that's actually an episode of Stargate SG-1. Mm-hmm. Wormhole Extreme is a TV show because anyway.
And Supernatural, that was a plot line in Supernatural where God was actually sending divine messages to some kooky guy who wrote books about the actual characters in the show, and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So several shows have played with this theme.
Yeah. You were telling us about a lot of different theories that you were studying and looking into before we started the show. Mm-hmm. What's one of the most interesting study that you looked into when it comes to psychology and our current kind of modern day society?
That's such a massive question.
I know. I like to ask these questions.
Well, my favorite ones are mostly deal with parasociality and studying of the internet, how people form fake relationships that they feel are very real with people online. And this can also include characters from media where, because we didn't evolve in a mediated environment, it's very difficult for people to be able to delineate what is a real interaction from what is a fake or pseudo or parasocial interaction. I love that it's a whole broad field, but the parasociality stuff, and particularly now when we have this constant interaction with Twitter and people feel like they know Donald Trump or they feel like they know XYZ person, that can have some very harmful effects as well because, well, what if your internet friend doesn't respond in turn? And there's tons of research that's become very, very popular, almost to the point of bringing it up as probably trite at this point, but
I've
cool.
heard a lot of it referred to with family vloggers and like the concept of putting your kid in danger because people think they have a parasocial relationship with your child who doesn't know anything about it because the concept of the internet is difficult when you're 5.
The idea of family vlogging is horrifying to me because you're putting the child out there and exposing them to this constant deluge of media exposure before they're able to form any kind of sense of self. So
Or consent, really.
They certainly can't consent.
Yeah. Human beings aren't built to be okay with social media.
No.
They aren't built to deal with so much attention, so much feedback, so much comments, so much interactions all at once. We used to be small tribes. That's what our body and mental state is used to being. And I think this is one reason why we're seeing such a huge increase of mental health.
Well, the dopamine system is fried. The dopamine system, it actually, the prolonged exposure to this kinds of stuff constantly, day after day after day, it causes the parts of your brain that produce and regulate dopamine to become eventually unable to continue to produce it at the same level. So people become, just like any other addiction, they become addicted to the substance, in this case dopamine, hit a like, or retweet on Twitter, that kind of thing. At some point, your brain cannot keep stimulating you and feeding you the positive feedback chemical that you want from it, and then it actually physically shrinks in size. Your parts of your brain physically shrink in size because it cannot keep doing this, but you also need more as your body is less able to provide it.
Can you like inject dopamine?
Surely.
Does it have the same effect?
I haven't read any studies on that, but I would assume so.
That'd be weird.
That would probably be like the next big thing.
Like adrenochrome?
Yeah, you got to get the adrenochrome. But I would, with Meta, the proposal of Meta and that VR stuff, it's now every single human sense is being stimulated. Your dopamine systems, the whole dopaminergic system is going to be fried for people. And there's going to be no way for them to get the dopamine that they are so craving because their own body can't produce it anymore.
Yeah.
And once your brain shrinks, your brain shrinks, there's
It'll
no
get
coming
better.
back. It
No,
can?
Yeah, sure.
So, like, is there a treatment for...
disconnect.
No.
Well, it's the same thing with any other addiction, more or
cult.
less. Yeah.
Well, also, there's also very negative effects, especially when it comes to online pornography. And I think also with things like TikTok becoming more and more popular, this is kind of the larger symptom of a society getting sicker and sicker, needing a quicker dopamine hit,
Yes.
needing a quicker fix, needing a quicker stimulation, just more and more quicker, faster.
TikTok is completely exemplary of that, in that it's 5 to 10 seconds. You get my stimulus and my output, and I'm good to go. And now next, and it never stops.
Yeah. Where do you see this going? Where is society heading, and where's the crash?
Well-
and how does it look like?
Well, in the experiments they did with rats, which is always a good way to start a sentence when you talk about the future of society. In the studies that have been done with rats, for example, they put a electrode in the pleasure center of the brain in rats, and they gave them a little button, and they could just sit there and push the button to stimulate the pleasure center of the brain. They found that, much as with the rat utopia experiment, after a while they stopped eating, they stopped reproducing, they stopped having sex, they stopped cleaning themselves, to the point where they would just sit there and press the button over and over again until they'd essentially die. So there's the really horrifying potential future, but let's go meta, right?
Thank goodness that company's failing. Thank goodness they're losing so much money. Don't go in the pods. Don't put on the VR set, please.
Just imagine not knowing what, like, accomplishment is what drives us, right? Getting more likes. We're like feeling a connection to something happening, but it really is just that dopamine release.
There's two forms of pleasure that exist. It's eudaimonia and hedonia. Hedonia is pure physical pleasure, just of feeling good. Eudaimonia is a sense of meaningfulness, and that's what we're losing.
But so, like, I'm imagining if there was a button that could stimulate your brain, you wouldn't know why it was good.
No.
You would just be like, this is great for some reason, and just keep smashing the button.
It's called TikTok.
Yeah, it is. That's it. People
But my
don't
point
know.
is, on TikTok, they're like, I'm seeing someone dance. I'm seeing some social interaction.
Yeah, but do they
I press the
remember it
button.
when they get consumed so much information so quickly? One thing after another thing after another thing. Do they really remember it?
The recall is not the part of it that matters. It's the instantaneous dopaminergic stimulation. And again, that's all the hedonia, the eudaimonia, which are things like, again, it's commonly called meaningfulness of a feeling of accomplishment, a feeling of having done something that's bigger than yourself. When we look, there's longitudinal studies on human happiness. And what we find produces longitudinal human happiness is not pleasure. It's hedonia, it's having children, it's having a home, it's raising a family, it's having relationships, meaningful ones with other people, and that's not dopaminergically stimulating.
We're going to go to Super Chats. If you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, and become a member at timcast.com. I want to point out something really quick. Elon Musk's Twitter poll, currently with 3.13 million votes. Donald Trump is winning his election on Twitter with 58% to 42%. And that is very significant because Twitter is more left-wing than right-wing. There are more leftist active users than right-wing active users, according to tons of different studies and different data. This means there are a lot of people on there who are like, yeah, he shouldn't have been banned. So considering that fact, if y'all have Twitter, you should go on to Elon's account and vote for Trump to be reinstated. Someone pointed out that because of the size of Elon's audience, these polls are statistically significant or meaningful.
It's statistically significant with 500.
Yeah, but depending on where, it's hard to know if you're doing 500 people, like where are you targeting and who are these people? Mm-hmm. But with 3.1 million, with 116 million total reach and 3.1 million, you can take into consideration the current time of day. And then you can say it will likely be this region, United States. He just posted a few hours ago, so it's gonna hit West Coast to East Coast. Might not hit, well, actually, yeah, I think it'll hit the entirety, even Alaska and Hawaii. So it matters. All right, let's read some super chats. Knucklefist says Twitter runs on Amazon AWS. Elon doesn't want Parlered. That's right. Yeah, they'll get their servers nuked. What do we got here? OMG Puppy says we should be upset about Democrats blackmailing advertisers to bankrupt Twitter. Elon needs support and time to make changes. Now is not the time for perfection, enemy of the good stuff. My point is, I totally get all that, but why insult Alex Jones's fans? Why insult the culture warriors who believe in free speech? He could have just avoided the subject, or he could have just been like, there's a lot more we have to work through before we unban everybody. We'll see what happens. You know what I mean? Yamabushi says, why do I even bother clicking notify on this show anymore? YouTube literally never lets me know when the show starts. And technically, every episode should be trending. But, that's just the way it goes.
Has it ever trended? Like, how long has it been?
I actually think we may have trended early on. Mm-hmm. We were trending maybe a couple times. And then, we get political and then not so much anymore.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, I got a notification today.
I will add, though,
so glad you got a
this past
notification.
month is the biggest month we've ever had in terms of viewership on this channel. So
Thanks,
that's
guys.
cool. Yep. Jim Bob says, Kathy did the bloody Trump head. That is far worse than what Alex did. Absolutely vile. I won't back Elon anymore over this. Tim, this is all exhausting. I hear you, but I don't think the answer is necessarily completely turn around. That's why I was saying I'll pull back and be like, okay, hold on there a minute. I'm willing to put some money into this Twitter to see if he can get it right. And I understand the difficulty with Alex Jones, but the too bad? No. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. It's all or nothing, man. Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says, crystal ball. Don't expect a billionaire to save you. Agreed. Yep. Dradmax says, if Twitter is predominantly lefties, how does Trump have a 62% favorable vote? Well, it's down to 58%, but yes, agreed. Good point. Because they like Trump.
He's funny. On Twitter, he was hilarious. Even if he was, I brought up instructional humor processing theory, but there's also several theories of humor which illustrate that you have to violate, it's called an expectancy violation. You have to say something unexpected or crazy or whatever to actually make people laugh. That's a big key element of humor. And if you can only say predictable things, then people won't laugh at it. And if that's what Elon thinks Twitter is about, is being funny, which is what he said, no Trump, no funny.
Well, accurate information.
Well, that too, I guess. Yeah.
Waffle Sense says, very important question. Hannah Claire, did you finish Tokyo Drift yet?
No. For those who don't know, I have to watch all of the Fast and Furious movies.
Not Tokyo Drift.
I don't know. The agreement is I have to watch all of them. It turns out that's like 19 hours of my life. I've only watched 2. This became a
What kind
wager,
of agreement is this?
It was like they
To
had
watch
to
the
get
greatest
deal with
movie
the
series
devil
ever.
did you have?
Yeah, it's Brett and Mary. That's who
They
we're talking
forced
about.
you?
It's they had to get to like 11 or 25 crisis parties in one show, and
Oh, yeah.
they managed that. And
That's crazy.
Now I have to invest a lot of time. I have not watched Tokyo Drift. I will do it eventually. I actually don't watch a lot of movies, so this is extremely hard. I think I'm gonna have to watch them all in one weekend.
I don't think you got to watch Tokyo Drift because it's outside of the series, but it loops back in. The character does re-enter the franchise later.
A deal's a deal, Heidi. Don't let the people down.
Liam, you were never a part of this. Just calm down. No, I feel like I have to honor it. Pop culture works really hard, and it's cool, I guess, that their fans are devoted enough to torture
What I don't
me.
understand is that you guys are using real names. Like at this point, just call them Lobless.
Hey,
I said ha.
Tom, you're not a part of this.
Yeah, Tom. Get out of here, Tom.
Holor.
Theodore, you're not a part of
Theodore.
this. Get out of here.
Hayden says Jones put out a response video to Elon saying not to bring him back. Jones' response was great. I get it, but I also feel like Alex has to say that. You know, what you brought it up, right, Luke? Like,
Yeah.
if he came out and he was like, "Screw you, Elon," like he's never coming back then, you know. Old Stick Key Taint says voting for Trump's unbanning is a smart move. Force these advertisers to justify why they want to pull advertisements when the majority of their target audience wants him on.
I think they've proven they're clearly ideological way past this point, that money doesn't matter as much as the message.
Well, and I would love if that was how it worked. You do the poll, Trump's ahead, but didn't we all just talk about the fact that Elon was like, these polls are not good because of the bots?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
we
Yeah.
can't do this
Yeah.
until the bots are purged. So really, Elon
Purge the
should be
bots.
focusing on the one thing he needs to do, which is purge the bots.
Larry made that point.
Well, SC Federale says, where the F is Ian? Milo is self-absorbed. You guys drug Ian without a mic afterward. Dirty. I knew I shouldn't sub. Give him a mic, friends. Who's Ian?
Yeah, I never heard
I'm
of him.
Ian now.
Ian who? You mean Ian Claire?
Ian Claire.
Brimlow?
It's me.
Ian Claire
The
Brimlow?
thing is, like, Ian and I had this big fight in the parking lot, and I won, and I get the chair. So
Yeah, that's how it works.
No, I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
we have a boxing ring outside.
Poor
Yeah.
guy's crying.
Well, he needs to train more, you know?
Yeah, I know. I've been trying.
Speaking of that, Jeffrey Max says, so happy to see Hannah Claire. Please have her on more. Oh, well, there you go.
Tim, the poll is winning. They want me back. Thank you so much. That's really nice.
This is why the Potato Man's not here. He got beat.
I'm a really good boxer. I don't know what to tell you guys.
Yeah, I've been training.
Survival of the fittest.
No, I actually love doing the show. It's been fun. And also, when you are on the news team, it's interesting to be here because every time, like, I'll watch the show in the green room and be like, I know that article. Oh, I know who wrote that. Like, it's like inside baseball, I guess.
Stinky Whizzle Teets says Elon's apparent indifference to censorship wasn't really shocking. Now, Jordan Peterson's tweets calling for it was truly shocking and depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah, did
What?
you happen to see them?
No, what did he say?
He basically called for like a
Getting rid of
Okay.
the plebs
Yes,
and punishing the plebs and making sure that they can't troll people,
'Cause
which is
he's-
ridiculous. Yeah.
it was really awful. He's like, I'm so tired of he said like the nasty, mean trolls on Twitter that are awful.
It,
It's like-
it was very elitist.
It was very elitist.
I mean, the
And-
people at the Daily Wire might be getting to him.
and asking for in return what was done to him, which
Yeah.
this is eye for an eye stuff that I don't think is the way you want to go with it, Jordan.
Yeah.
Well, when he said consign the anonymous narcissists and psychopaths to troll hell,
Yeah.
that one? Is
I
that
think
all he
those-
said, or
If you're
what?
going to go after anyone, the most vile people are the verified people, or the big corporate media accounts, are the leftists that call for people to die and show people's heads on a stake.
And can just
those
get away with
those
it.
are vile people. The anonymous people, they're not that bad compared to the really bad people out there.
Chuck Taylor says a special counsel was appointed today. How is that not the lead story? Because, so what? A special counsel got appointed. Yeah. For what reason? Trump had some classified documents and he had plenary declassification power. Waste of my time. Sorry, I don't know. Not to be dismissive.
What? No, it's the same thing being repeated ad nauseum at this point.
But it's like, it's not an impeachment. There's
No.
nothing substantive here. The special counsel goes nowhere. It's a waste of everyone's time. Trump has the ability to declassify whatever he wants. He apparently just had the folders anyway, which still are classified, but it's just like, do I care about this? He was the president.
Right.
No, I mean, the story there is just Trump declares bid for re-election, and they're like, actually, we've really got to buckle down on this investigation that we've had for like a year and a half.
But again, is anyone surprised by that?
No.
Pinochet's helicopter tour says, Tim, it goes both ways. Elon can out every one of these corporations and advertisers subverting the people's constitutional rights. ESG is to blame here. And he should. Didn't Elon say something about doing that? Making known every corporation or something that you know.
I think so.
Maybe he did. I don't know. Maybe someone else did.
Yeah, I don't recall.
But Elon, you know what I would do? If a corporation was like, we don't want these people on the platform, I'm like, okay, here's what I'll do for you. I will take your company's logo and default it on the page of those people you don't like. That's it.
Yeah, why not?
There you go. What is it? Isn't Yelp accused of doing something like that, where if you don't sign up, they'll put the negative reviews at the top?
Well, it's kind of just a ridiculous sort of demand in the first place, because it's like, I mean, would this happen on traditional, media? As if like, oh, you have somebody on or some show on that a corporation doesn't 100% agree with, so they demand that show, that person, that episode be pulled. I guess it does work sometimes, but it's a big ask, and it depends, I guess, on the corporation.
I mean, didn't that happen to Tucker Carlson? A bunch of his editors pulled out?
They did, but Fox News didn't get rid of him, and that was a lot of people. I mean, I'm just saying, like, it would be as if there was one very special episode of, I don't know, pick Full House or something, where then somebody got canceled in the future and they hadn't yet pulled the episode, and then advertisers say, we will not run our ads on whatever said network because of this thing that happened in the past.
So Jim Bob says, Tim, would you kindly give me an Ian crystal? Jim Bob, here's what I'll do. I am going to write down Jim Bob and go to the latest members only videos, comment that you would like an Ian crystal. I will then instruct the team to seek out your comment, reach out to you, and then send you an Ian crystal. Of course, pending Ian's approval to send out one of the crystals.
I thought
Just don't lick it.
I get to
Just don't lick it.
Do I get to pick which one goes out?
No, Ian probably will, I guess. They're his, so.
Well, fair.
Technically, I got him out of a big barrel at, where were we?
Yeah, no stealing, Harley.
We were at some gorge in West Virginia. It was really cool.
New River.
Maybe.
New River's with a huge bridge.
No, there's no huge bridge. I can't remember what it was. But there was like a little shop, and they had a barrel full of rocks. And I was like, oh, Ian likes rocks. So I filled a bag up of rocks, bought them, and then Ian was like, oh, cool, rocks. It was great.
Someone dressed up as Ian in our office for Halloween and walked up to me and handed me a crystal. And I was like, oh, it's happening. Okay.
David Toronto says, couldn't pay me 20 grand to go see Taylor Swift.
Well, then I won't.
I don't know, David. I mean, come on. It's like a couple hours.
20 grand is a lot of money.
Yeah, to like sit there for a couple hours. That's
my favorite tweets were the ones that was like the Taylor Swift ticket you wanted so badly was just bought by some dad who's only heard of her like one song.
Yeah, that's true.
Runaway 25 Production says, Carl Sagan's I have a foreboding called all of this. Foreboding feeling, especially the low IQ stuff. You ever see that speech he gave where he talked about the future and like what was going to happen?
No, I don't.
He's like
think
just
so.
talking about pleasure and stuff and how people are going to get sucked in and something like that. It's been a while since I saw it.
It's kind of like sort of like an idiocracy take almost.
Heron Gaming News says, I live with a mild cognitively delayed. I misses out on my formative years due to a tumor. It's frustrating trying to learn and people think I can't when I just need extra help. Bummer.
Yeah, I can relate.
Mr. McJones says, it's called the baby still face experiment. Man, it's horrifying though. You know, those babies were freaking out. Imagine what it was like to have the kid in a mask, not seeing anyone's face, not knowing how to develop socially for what, 2 years or what?
Nearly 3.
Nearly 3 years.
It depends. It depends on how personally devoted to the cause the parent was, right? Because
And I'd argue the area that you live in, right?
Yes.
It's not just the parent's face. The parent's face is really important for expression, but presumably missing out on interacting with other children.
Absolutely.
They're not developing a lot of social skills, which, children need stimulation.
And
all the
interestingly
time.
enough, then, as you brought up, which is interesting, the area, the brain drain, such as it is going to be most severe in the left-leaning liberal areas.
JD Jones says Trump poll looks like a bot test to see if he solved that problem. Interesting. What if, when he tweeted, we shouldn't go to war with you, we shouldn't be at war with Russia or whatever, and then he saw everyone was like, yes, we should. He said, okay, there's bots. Maybe he did something behind the scenes, does this poll, and now it's pro-Trump, and he's like, those are the real people.
Yeah, but he would be talking about what he did.
No, he
or
wouldn't.
At least, but now anyone paying attention is like, hey, he said there's a whole bunch of bots on here now that are messing up the polls.
Yeah.
Now he's running a poll. At least
We're speculating.
He's going to need like
No, no,
Not gonna
it's
come
his
out
own
and-
words.
He's not going to come out and say, hey, guys, I'm tricking you.
No, yeah, that would ruin the experiment,
Right.
obviously.
Yeah.
If
Do
he
you
is
know how he
trying to
caught
do
the leaker
one.
from Tesla? Do you see this viral video?
No, how?
Like in 2008, somebody was
email?
leaking. Yeah, somebody was leaking emails and information from Tesla. So what he did was they sent out a company-wide email, and then in actuality, everyone got an individualized
Oh,
email
yeah.
with a double space randomly placed somewhere in the email. So they thought it was a company-wide email. They all looked the same. Then they waited for the email to leak, saw where the double space was, and knew exactly who had received that email. So he plays games. Like he does these experiments. He's not going to tell you what he's doing. Maybe later he will, but it's possible.
He's going to have to post a video where he's holding like his phone up with the date and time before he puts the poll up, being like, this is a test. I can prove it.
Well, right. If you are doing a data manipulation or you're conducting a natural experiment, you can't let your subjects know that you're conducting an experiment.
Right.
Well, I mean, when you sign up to take a study or do research at a university, you have to sign off and say, yes, I know I'm doing this, blah, blah, blah. But you don't. In fact, a lot of times when we do studies, we'll intentionally throw in bogus variables. So to lead the participant to think that we're studying something that we're not studying so that they get confused and think it's about that.
I'll give you an example. There's this really funny video I watched a long time ago where they bring people into a room and they tell them, you're going to do a study, so fill out this paperwork. While they're filling out the paperwork, they blow smoke under the door. And then the people think that you have to trick the person. If you told them we're doing a fire, preparedness study, they'd be like, okay, it would change their reaction. The funny thing is, when they would blow the smoke under the door and it was just one person by themselves, they would go to the door, feel the knob, and then start yelling, there's a fire, something's going on. When they put 3 people in the room and blow smoke under the door, people would see the smoke, look at each other,
Yes.
and then go back to writing their papers.
Yep. They're looking for social feedback.
Yeah.
I mean, that's that same thing with the citation is escaping me right now, but where they basically found that if someone is killed in front of you, unless one person elects to decide to go help, the other people will just kind of stand there and let it
Yep.
happen.
The other thing too is little kids. If they fall, usually they don't cry. I've heard this. If you have a little kid and they get hurt, you don't act panic or worried. You laugh and say, "Oh, you fell."
Right.
Because if you go, oh no, then they start crying like
Yes.
something bad happened.
I mean, this was sort of a popular trend on, I think, TikTok for a little while. Parents would be like holding their kid and walk through a doorway and like
Yes.
hit it with their hand.
Yeah.
And the kid couldn't see it. And they'd be like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And the baby would start crying. The baby did not hit
Yep.
the door, but the baby is taking the feedback from you that it has gotten hurt.
That's creepy. Like you shouldn't do that on TikTok for that. There's
You don't
people
want to
that-
experiment on children for social media?
No.
I don't understand, Tom.
Oh, what could go wrong?
Dave's Kitchen Corner says there was an episode of The Orville where they visited a planet where they would upvote, downvote people. Anyone that got 10 million downvotes was imprisoned. Not a good direction to go. And in a society like that, nobody would want to be famous.
That was a Black
Yep.
Mirror episode as well, where
Yeah.
it was you had a social credit score, and at some
Yep.
point
Right.
she couldn't like rent a car or do anything. She was
We're
unperson-
heading there. That's
Coming
what- yes, she
soon
is.
to the United States.
Right.
Nope. That's why they ban people. I mean, Alex Jones, his social credit score is like 0. And that's
Yeah.
what happens.
Yeah.
Granted, there's only so much you can do because that dude's famous. Like, I really don't see a scenario ever where Alex Jones will be destitute.
Yeah.
He may not be as rich as he once was, Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says that would be a great cop show. Lewis and Ha.
I'm excited. Let's do it.
Outdoors with the Morgans says, when it crumbles, I will trade lumber and firewood for eggs. Bought land in West Virginia for the same reasons as you. If you come visit, password to the high ground compound is, it's Tim, don't shoot. LOL. I'll remember that password, but I think everybody else will too. Some like super tall fat guy is going to be like, it's Tim, don't shoot. And you're like, okay, hey Tim, come on in. What do we got? People mentioning Elon polling Trump's reinstatement. We'll just remind everybody of that so you can go vote on it. Flutz Q says you should rename Chicken City to Sugma Cocktown. It's an anagram for censorship. Sugma. I found 182 acres, I think it was, for like 200 grand or something.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so we can make the Ligma Johnson Woodland Preserve. Ligma Johnson Woodland Preservation. Woodland.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Not too far away. It's like probably 2 hours west of Washington, D.C. or Baltimore. And then, people can hang out in the lush greenery of Ligma Johnson. That'd be great.
So would you keep your campaign going in Scotland, or would you reserve?
Well, we don't really care about the Scotland thing. That's like we have a sponsor.
Yeah.
And it would be funny if there was a Lord Ligma Johnson who for some reason owned 50,000 square feet in Scotland.
Right.
But if we actually get this plot of land, we can create a public park preserve, called Ligma Johnson Woodland Preservation.
Yeah, with Lake Titicaca and the Seymour
Lake Balzania.
Seymour Butts Trail.
But yes, we should name everything that. But we'll put up a sign saying Lake Balzania, and
work with children,
right? Seymour Butts.
It's called intellectuals.
Buttes.
Okay, huh?
Sure it is, Lee. Calm down.
Steve Jones says freedom from consequences is BS. The idea of the First Amendment is to exercise it without consequence.
Yep.
Right, as long as you're not.
Absolutely. That's free speech.
Yes, even the yelling fire in a crowded movie theater thing is largely a myth.
It is. Yep.
So,
Casey Dennison says Namor is based in the comics. Friends with Spider-Man and Doctor Doom. Interesting moral and philosophical in the comics.
yeah, he also just doesn't care about anybody's feelings whatsoever. He is pretty based.
And he
This is
has
the
wings on his
Atlantis
feet.
one?
He has-
Yeah, wings the little.
That I actually really did like that when he was the fight scenes in Wakanda Forever. It was cool how they had him he was basically jumping
oh, they
on
left
the air.
that part accurate. How interesting.
Is that what it's like in the comics? How he flies or whatever?
Yeah, he's got little wings on his feet. It's
But
just it's cute.
He doesn't.
That's what
He doesn't fly up. He jumps on the air basically.
Oh,
Yeah, it was cool.
again, just interesting what they are able to leave in. I guess for
Yeah.
copyright reasons.
Wings on his feet. People were complaining. I guess said the actor was a dad bod hero or something. I don't know. The weird thing is they were like the fact that in this article from the Inquirer they're cheering for Namor in this movie. He's an outright villain. He's like is a genocidal maniac who wants to murder everybody. He's basically Killmonger, and they're like he's an anti-hero. No, he's a bad guy. He invades Wakanda for no reason. And the funny thing is, Wakanda's a landlocked nation. So, why did he go there? And how did he get there? He's, in Mexico, and he can swim just there, really quick, I guess. They ride whales. That's the other thing about the movie.
Right. Yeah, don't ask questions. Just consume product and get excited for next product.
Is that how the comics were? Did they make more sense, or?
Yeah,
'Cause I feel like I don't really watch all the stuff.
He's
too
the
intensely.
king of Atlantis, but he
really wants that landlocked country.
No, this is just stuff that's made up. The Marvel movies are almost all just completely novel stuff that they've made up for the films. They're not really generally. Some of them are more based on the comics, like the Infinity War stuff, but other than that, or Civil War, it tends to be largely independent.
And do you watch them, or do you skip them all?
Not anymore. I watched them in 2006 or whatever. 2008 was, I think, when they started the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I watched them for a couple of years, but not anymore. I have no more interest in it.
You had to renounce it. They're just it's gone off the rails.
The
for
last
me.
thing, the She-Hulk show messed with my boy Daredevil. He's the only character I really care about. So, and even then, it's just enough for me to go, oh, cool. You screwed up something I like again.
Is there anything they
Bye.
could do to win you back as a potential fan? Because if you grew up, if you read the comics, you're more likely to than I guess anyone else.
They had Black Bolt blow his own brains out in the stupid Doctor Strange movie. No, after that, I don't think so. It is directly disrespectful to me as a comic book reader, and you have been directly disrespectful to me now for half a decade, if not longer. So no, I don't think they should make a public apology, mea culpa, and I might consider it. But outside of that, nope. I've been done for forever.
Can I ask you why you left your PhD program? I feel like that's such an unusual choice with academia. Was it because?
Oh, I got so stressed out. Yeah. Just when you like what you do and you enjoy doing it, you get more and more workload. And I had too much at some point and just went. So took a sabbatical and then didn't end up
the
going
sabbatical
back.
Is still going.
It is now a 6-year-long sabbatical. Can
there you
return
go.
at any point.
Maniac Gear says, Aydin, you're my hero with the reasonable expectations of an individual with their own thoughts and flaws. Diftor ha smuzma.
Diftor his smuzman, solshayedif.
What is that?
What just
It
happened?
means live long and prosper in Vulcan.
Yeah. Vulcan,
Oh,
that's right.
okay. Well, there you go. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Well,
Diftor
dang.
his smuzman means live long and prosper, and solshayedif means peace and long life, which is the response. If someone says live long and prosper, you say peace and long life.
Oh, very nice. What do we got? Bobcat says, Luke, I am not the devil, but I am proud that I'm exposing the cast of Pop Culture Crisis to some pop culture. Okay.
Are you? I mean,
Is
good
that-
for you.
Yeah.
This is the Fast and Furious thing. Just so everyone knows, like, I think it's crazy that there are that many Fast and Furious movies.
How many are there?
They're about to come out with their 10th. And part of our bargain is that I have to finish all of them
You do?
before the 10th one comes out. And if the 10th one comes out and I haven't finished it, I have to watch that too. But I have never understood the appeal of the Fast and Furious movies. 1 and 2 have not won my heart. We had a guest come on the show, and when I was hanging out with him in the green room, it was like the day that this wager came to fruition. He was like, "Don't worry, 1, 2, 3 are great. After Tokyo Drift, it's all downhill." Sir, that is 6 movies. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
The
I don't get
FFCU
it.
is the best cinematic universe.
That's great.
Like, they got to do time travel or space travel. I'm so excited. Superpowers, mech suits, Transformers.
Yeah, it was Tim who would be like, I'd be like, I just don't get Fast and Furious. I've never seen any of them. I don't like it, which is a little close-minded of me. And he would be like, but they go to space. I'd be like, but
In the
that's
latest one, they go to outer space.
I've never seen any of them.
Ludacris is in outer space.
Resist.
No, well, and then I got in. I don't like cars, but then I got into Top Gear, so
Hold on.
that's all right.
Top Gear's different.
Ludacris.
Yeah, exactly.
Ludacris in outer space.
Yeah,
It's just,
I'm there.
if that was the only commercial, it was like, Fast and the Furious, Ludacris is in outer space. I'd be like, okay, when do we go?
Yeah, I'm there.
That's
no,
it.
no.
You are very
watch the
easily
movies.
entertained.
But it's funny, you know?
Is it?
Have a good time. Enjoy the little things in life. If you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button? Subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, become a member at timcast.com. No members only shows on Fridays, but you can check out our full library. We have a bunch of really awesome guests throughout the past week and the weeks prior. You can you can follow us on Instagram at Timcast IRL, or basically anywhere. You can follow me at Timcast. Smash that like button. Aydin, do you want to shout anything out?
Just the video that I'm working on, which is about the dark side of morality, is I think the tentative title, and because all of this greed and envy and self-interest, it all comes out of a place of the left, people predominantly on the left, feeling as if they are doing something moral and good for other people, even if it ultimately only really benefits themselves. That's a very, very scary, I think, place to be. But that'll be sometime. I've been.
What is your channel?
Oh yeah, it's Aydin Paladin on YouTube
There you go.
and on Twitter. So just AYDIN Paladin, PALADIN.
Right on.
Oh, I'm Hannah Claire Brimlow. I'm a writer for timcast.com. You can find me on Instagram at hannahclaire.b. You should also follow Timcast News on Twitter. It's great. You can see all of our content there. And I think that's the only thing I have to shout out.
You're
Thanks
on
for
Twitter?
having me.
Are you on Twitter?
I am on Twitter, but I don't talk on Twitter. I'm just there to get people's comments. So you can follow me, but it will be boring. I'm not a bot, Elon Musk.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing some of your findings. I thought they were fascinating. Karen Claire, you were tolerable. So thank you also for coming here. My website is lukeuncensored.com. I made a very interesting video that's titled
It's Landon. Landon Uncensored.
lukeuncensored.com, and it's titled How to Take Care of Your Balls That Are Under Attack. It's a real video, a very serious one. You can watch that, get exclusive merchandise, be a part of a conversation on the forum, all on lukeuncensored.com. See you there.
LandonUncensored.com.
lukeuncensored.com. Splurge?
LarryUncensored.com.
Splurge?
I am Serge, Serge.com. Watching these two guys argue has been fun. Have a good weekend, guys.
We will see you all. We're going to have clips up throughout the weekend, but other than that, we will see you all on Monday. Thanks for hanging out.
Cheers.